IndianTelevision.com. Yesterday, we had some amazing and interactive discussions around various topics from the gaming industry, and we have an exciting lineup of discussions for today as well. I would now like to thank our partners for their immense support. This event is co-powered by Tata Communications, Associate Partner, Cape Titans Games, Support Partner, Loco, a Pocket Aces product. I would now like to introduce founder, CEO, and editor-in-chief of AnimationExpress.com and IndianTelevision.com Group, Mr. Anil Anwari, to address everyone. Over to you, Mr. Anwari.
Thank you. Now here you get to hear my music again. All over again. That's a great way to begin Gems this morning. So we had a fabulous audience yesterday. The entire day long, actually not the day long, up till 1:30, we had close to about 25,000 views of 4.5 hours. I don't know why people were watching it for 4.5 hours. We had the conference for 4.5 hours, and people watched 4.5 hours of the entire conference yesterday. Man, there must have been something good in Gems yesterday. So 25,000 people watching it. I don't know how many are watching it today. We got some superstars in the first panel. 3 of them: Ketan, Shagufta, and then there is I don't know where Animation has disappeared. 8-bit. I hope he's not, got lost on one of his games, and he'll come in at some time or the other. But let's get on with the thank all the people who watched us yesterday, and they'll be watching us again today. I think the audience is going to double today because of the stars that we have here. So I'll begin by asking the panelists to introduce themselves, because we've got some great brands in the next panel. We've got Parley, we've got ITC, we've got Airtel. Imagine some of them could give you an endorsement. So talk well about yourselves, each one of you all. And they're big spenders. So I'll leave it to you all to talk about yourselves for a minute or two. What do you all do? And then we can get on with the discussion. Beginning with the lady first, of course, ladies first.
Thank you. So my name is Shagufta Iqbal. I am more popularly known as Zaya in the gaming world. I am a YouTube live streamer. I stream like a bunch of different games. Mostly I play Call of Duty, but I do like variety games as well. Yeah, that's it. Like I've just been like gaming my entire life, and I've just.
So
been
you wanted to be an
lucky.
astronaut. You wanted to be an astronaut.
Yeah, yeah.
Artist.
Oh wow! Yeah, you've done your research. Yep, I wanted to be a lot of things when I was younger, but yeah, as I was growing up, I realized that gaming was my passion. It was my thing. I used to literally like game 24/7. So yeah, that's where I am now. I'm doing gaming full time, live streaming. So yeah.
Fantastic, great. So over to you, Abhishek.
Hi guys, my name is Abhishek and I represent Trinity Gaming India. It is a talent management company focusing on gaming talent from India, and our basic motive is to make gaming and esports a viable career option for the millennials, so that we can keep them motivated and so that we can keep them financially as well as morally motivated to play games. So this is what we do.
Fantastic. Priyanka, I'm not going to ask you to interrupt, so please, I can see you. But what's happened, Vinny? We've got that, have we? Sorry, I broke the entire routine. I was supposed to speak, then Priyanka was supposed to introduce yourselves, and then we were supposed to get on with the gig, but I broke the routine. I do that all the time. I'm the naughty boy of the company, though I'm the founder and CEO of the company. So can we have this off? I can't see who I'm speaking to. Vinny, can you pull off this slide? I can't see who I'm speaking to. Fantastic. So now after that, we have Shaumitro is part of the team, so I want to ask him to speak. I have Ketan Patel.
Yeah. So my name is Ketan Patel. I'm a content creator for Team 8-bit, and I'm a caster. I've casted few tournaments, or you can say many tournaments for PUBG Mobile till date, and nowadays I'm certainly becoming a vlogger as well. Like I'm shooting my day-to-day life and uploading it on my YouTube channel. I'm a streamer too. So yeah, that pretty much sums up what I do.
So how many followers? How many subs?
Actually, I have 720,000 subscribers over my YouTube channel. Yes.
You are a rock star. And what's your handle on YouTube? 8-bit again.
K18 Gaming.
Great. Fantastic. So now let's move on to, we have Firasat.
Hey, hi. My name is Firasat, better known as Firasat. I represent Loco, which is a division of Pocket Aces. Loco is a live game streaming app, and we're trying to make a better product for millions of live streamers in the country, far and wide. And we'd like to differentiate ourselves on the various innovations and the features that we make, which are gamer friendly.
Fantastic. So welcome now. Let's begin with the stars today. So Shagufta, last year you said you weren't sure you'd make a career in gamer streaming, in streaming games and talking about games. What happened? I mean, why did you change your mind? When you had a day job, right? Last year?
Yeah, I did have like I was a software engineer. But then like I just decided to focus on streaming more because like as even a hobby, I found out that I was actually like earning as much as I was through my day job. So I was like, why not just do it like full time and test out the waters, because I was already like I had 2 years of experience. I was like, let me take like 1 year off and see if I can do something with this, because I really wanted to get into gaming full time. So it was like a trial and error sort of thing. I just wanted to take 1 year off and do gaming. If it didn't work out, that I can already like always go back to IT, because like I had like that degree and 2 years of experience.
So what are you good
yeah,
at? Are you a programmer? What do you do? C++? What kind of?
I was doing shell scripting.
Okay.
And yeah, basically like the coding and stuff. There's this tool called Informatica. I don't know how relevant it is now, but
I just
it
want to know,
was
yeah,
pretty
please
good
go
back then.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I was doing that. So then I got into like streaming, like content creation and stuff. And it just slowly started building up. I was being recognized by like brands and sponsors. And yeah, that's now like I can sustain myself with like just streaming and content creation. So I feel like I've just been like very lucky on that aspect, that I'm able to do this like full time.
You can pay a rent every month with what you do. I mean, you're living in Bangalore away from your parents.
Yeah. No, I'm in Pune now.
Pune.
And yeah, I can pay my rent, so that's awesome.
And
I
you can
pay
buy
my
all the
rent,
lovely
my
lipsticks
internet
and the
bills.
makeup and the hair colors. That
I just use one lipstick. That's like a thing. I just use the one.
the hair color.
I don't like any others.
So which one do you
This
use?
was very
The hair
recent.
color?
Like
the lipstick. Which one is it?
this hair color, like it was for lipstick. It's like there's this like one shade of red by Maybelline, I guess. I'm not even sure. I've been using this for so long. I don't even remember the brand now. So yeah.
And the hair color.
This was like very recent. I never really did anything to my hair before.
Can we have silence
yeah,
here, please,
it was
Mr.
just,
Chingling? Can you put yourself on
so,
mute, please? Not you, the gentleman who was speaking.
Yeah. So it was very recent. Like I just wanted to do something with my hair, and I just went for it. It was very impromptu thing. I literally just woke up one day and I was like, I want to dye my hair, and I just went and got it done.
And what happened to your
No
audience?
second thought.
Did they accept it? Because audiences are...
Yeah, they were kind of shocked. Because it was a big change. Because since I started my streaming career, I always had like the same black hair, curly, and yeah, it was a big change for them. They were shocked. They were like, no, we like the old one better. I was like, well, it has happened. I can't do anything about it.
Okay,
Change
what
is
if you
good
start putting
sometimes, so-
bronze lipstick then? Will they get even more shocked?
I don't think I'll do that, because I myself would be shocked with that. But
Okay,
yeah,
I'm just
I
kidding.
don't know.
because
Like,
you don't
even
get-
if yeah,
the fan love is such that they don't
they'll
like
just
it.
have to accept it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. They kind of like, they're like, no, we don't like change. But it's just my appearance. It's not changing my
So
personality or
our
anything.
appearance
And
is important
personality
for
is
gamers?
like,
Is our appearance is important for gamers, or is it
I don't think
the
it
skill
should
levels
be.
and for streamers? Ketan, over to you. I'm going to stop here now. Let Ketan also have a say.
Yeah, sure.
So is that the same question that I have to answer?
Not the lipstick part, please. Unless you're
Okay, so
you're a
that the
closet queen.
person, so
Unless
that
you're a closet queen. But okay, I'm
No,
not
not.
talking about is appearance very important to your audiences?
I don't think so, but you should be having at least a positive personality whenever you are addressing your audience, because that is why they are looking up to. Like if you are streaming for 2 to 3 hours and they are giving um, those crucial hours of the day to watch you, so they should be having something positive out of it. So yeah, as I feel, not too much fancy, but yes, you can actually change you can actually change, like what Zaya said also. Like it is good to have something change, because it also change the perspective of audience. Like sometimes, yeah, like this personality can also adapt to some change also. Like if I go and pierce my ear, like few of my audience won't like it, but yeah, who knows, like I got attract few of the new audience might get attracted to it, like who loves piercing or something.
So what is it about? Is it about the gameplay? I know in Zaya had said something
Cert-
like it's about the
cer-
gameplay and it's also about
certain
interaction with the audience.
Certainly, my audience is totally over interaction, over skills, or over gameplay. And from starting, I've made that kind of genre in my channel. Like I don't go mad over the games I play or the serious type of streams, but yeah, I'm more over a entertainment streamer over than skillful streamer.
Fantastic. So Zaya, what about you? You said some time back that it's also about entertainment. You got to find a fine balance, and
Yeah, yeah.
so I mean, and but you since then have you improved your skill sets in Call of Duty? Call of Duty?
I would like to say yes. I used to be really bad before, but I feel like I have improved. But again, like my streams, they're not like professional gamer streams. Like people don't come to watch me to like learn the game or like learn how to play. It's more about like interaction with the audience. It's like again Ketan said, it's more about like that entertainment side of streaming. There are some streamers who are like professional players and they stream because like they want to show off their skill and they want other people to learn from them, but for me it's more like entertainment. So again, I have like one game, like competitive game, which is Call of Duty, but apart from that I do like story mode games and like horror games and like funny games. So it's more about like that entertainment side of streaming for me. It's
And
not just like
I
gaming,
know.
like
And
yeah.
how do you keep building those stories every now and then? Because also, when you're doing a video, I'm going to put this to Ketan also. So every video has to have a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Yeah.
So you're almost like scripting for every episode. You're almost like a creator, a story writer every episode. So how does that keep going? I mean, how do you keep it going all the time?
So nowadays I've been uploading daily vlogs. So yeah, I have to keep in mind uh, at the night I a night before I sleep. Yeah, yes, I have to do this. That is basically the story part that you said. Like there are three aspects, like the start, the middle part, and the end. So I have to plan sometimes that yeah, I have to do that, but it might go into the different direction. Then I have to plan that, like then I can have that title, like yeah, this got failed. I was trying to do this. And yeah, storyline is also as important as the spontaneous part also in your content, because that might uh, catch some attention of your audience. Yeah, this guy is no other than a common man, basically. So yeah, the story part is also important, the planning thing is also important in our content. And yeah, that keeps us going. Like if like I was planning a content, like I will be locking myself down without phone, without any electronics, um, just 3 to 4 water bottles, and
No beer.
nothing.
Okay, good lord. I
Just
thought
me,
beer inspired.
just me, and few water bottles
Okay.
along my side, and that might become my content for a day. So that is how I plan, like a different kind of storyline that audience might want to watch that. Like yeah, this is something new. This is something creative. Like what would that guy do in a locked room without a phone? First of all, a mobile phone. I'll just having my camera. That's it.
And you show you log in the day, right? Not at night. Shagufta is a night bird. She does things at night. But you
Yeah.
do things in the day, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so she's a night bird, totally different. I mean, she likes to. So the question I put to Ketan.
Yeah. So Ketan does like more vlogs, so I haven't really explored the vlogging scene yet. I do mainly like streams and stuff. And for my streams, like there isn't like a story because I just get on and play games with friends and I talk to chat. So yeah, I think it would be like different for me. But definitely like if you have like even when I play like story mode games, then like people get intrigued and they stay till the end. So I'm guessing like that should be there, like that interactive factor. I'm not much into like storytelling and all like through vlogs and stuff. So
But
yeah.
you can tell a story during an episode, which you put out every day, can you not?
No, so those are like mainly highlights. um yeah, I'm not really again like into vlogging and stuff. I post like for videos I post like highlight videos, like highlights of kills or like funny moments.
But
So
do you
yeah,
see yourself evolving into that?
I do plan to get into vlogging. To be honest, like I feel like my life is like so boring because I just stay at home and play games. So yeah,
But
I'll
you
have
are
to like pick up.
ridiculously amazing, as your T-shirt says.
Yeah, I'm good at like games and stuff, but yeah, like having a fun social life, yeah, not yet. Maybe in the future. I am actually like planning to do vlogs and stuff. Um, so yeah, in the future,
Now, I'm sure the
hopefully.
girls who follow you or the guys who follow you, some of the guys who are closet queens would like to see how you do your makeup, how you do your hair, etc.
I don't even do makeup. I just put on a lipstick. That's it. I have thought of that. Like, what if I do a makeup tutorial? Then I realize, I don't even do makeup. I just have one lipstick and I put that on before my streams. So yeah.
Great. Yeah. So coming back now on to the talent people, the managers. So this is the kind of people, these are the talents you're dealing with. So what do you guys have to say about the talent that you deal with? Firasat.
Yeah, I mean, see, I'm not a live streamer, but I spend night and day trying to read data from not only our platform, from thousands and thousands of streamers from our platform, but all platforms basically. And something that I've discovered, and this is something that we've communicated to the talent, the esteemed talent that we have. Also, by the way, I'm so happy for this panel because I realized almost everyone here is a local partner, connected to
Yeah.
in some way, that's, and here goes my reference, and that's why I was saying that I try to communicate it to everyone that this whole thing is basically content. And content, as we know, is a stimulus. It is a content creator's control on moving the needles of expectation on that stimulus. That will create an outcome. For example, when we talk about live streaming, let's talk about the greatest live streamers ever. We look to the West. Two names come up all the time: Ninja and Shroud. Their live streams, their content have had that one element of changing expectations right in the moment. You'll find countless streams of Shroud trying to do things that he had never planned, and we have seen that most of these things work out when the stimulus is positive rather than negative. For example, if Shroud comes online and he starts raising money for a random other streamer on live on air, that is supposed to create a boost in the content, that's supposed to enhance the community. And we push our creators to do positive things on their live streams all the time, sometimes with expectations, sometimes without them. And that's basically because we came across this insight early on, and we realized that other platforms do not understand this, and never build features even though they've been around for many years. We've been around for like 6 months with live game streaming, and I'm proud to say that we've already launched a lot of features that look in this direction. But overall, my understanding of this whole thing is live streaming is more sport than VOD. You
Yeah.
talk about a beginning, a middle, and an end. That's a storyline, Anil, which sets right for a VOD, for a vlog, for something that has a message. Live streaming essentially doesn't have a message. It's live, it's on air, you get to hang out. It's a medium of existence. It's not a whole package. It's always on. We have seen countless examples of live streamers making it and not having being there the next day because the audience discovered something weird about them, or the audience something somehow suddenly just turned them off. And that is why I say the live streamers are one of the most talented creators in the industry, because they know how to move that needle of expectations, and they do that daily. That's impressive. And that's what we push for.
Abhishek.
Yeah. Apparently, see again, before I put my verdict on it, I would just like to add one more thing to what Firasat Bhai said. Right. See again, the thing is, there is obviously a difference between a VOD creator and a live streamer, wherein a live streamer in a live streaming, it is not a one man show. It is not a creator's show. At the same time, it is the audience show as well, right? Because when these guys are live streaming, even their audience is also engaging with the other guys who are watching their live streams, right? So it is altogether a power packed performance by both of them, by the audience uh, as well as the live streamer, right? And if I talk about talent management, or if I talk about talent management in specifically into the gaming industry, see, I've been in this industry since last 2.5 years, and what I've seen is this industry has grown like it has grown multiple folds. So in 2017 or 18, when I entered this industry, there were hardly 2 to 3 live streamers, and now we have like countless live streamers. Apparently, what correct me if I'm wrong, Firazat bhai, only Loco has a streamer database of almost 300, 400 live streamers streaming every day, with extremely good amount of watchers, with extremely good amount of uh, engagement. And at that time there was only one platform, that is YouTube gaming. Now we have YouTube gaming, we have Loco, we have Facebook gaming. So platform wars are also started. They have also started to begin. That what I feel is now it is a very great time to be into this segment, and it is also equally great time for a talent also to basically start making some money out of it. Because what I believe, if we are keeping a gaming talent financially motivated, he will be there for a longer time as compared to if we are not keeping them financially motivated.
Yeah, so but if it's all about their live interaction, where do you guys come in, the talent management? Because it's all about them. They don't need you.
So again, the thing is, we are enablers, right? As we are enablers, we basically make these guys uh, do whatever they want to do, right? For example, if I talk about Ketan Patel, right? He's extremely good. He's an extremely good vlogger. He's extremely good talent, right? So what I believe is that he should invest his time in curating whatever he wants to curate and whatever he wants to generate as a content creator, right? But apart from that, you can probably have a feedback from Kiran Patel also. Like Animesh, I think is looking after his talent management. How Animesh is adding and how Animesh is enabling what all he desires. How Animesh is enabling whatever he needs, right? So that's where we come in to the picture.
So how do you enable? Please specify.
How do we enable is that, for
And you keep a
example,
piece of his earnings, right, for that?
pardon?
You keep a piece of his earnings for that.
See, again, keeping a piece of his earning is something. See, in this industry, everyone. In an industry, if you need to motivate yourself as well as motivate anybody else, right? That is a very much important aspect of any sort of an industry. For example, we have seen Bollywood industry, we have seen music industry. There are talent managers who are enabling talents requirements, right? We provide them with whatever facilities these guys want. For example, we are providing them with the design support, with the creative support, with the social media manager support. We have an in-house business development team who go out and pitch their talents and bring in money, right? So this is how we enable the ecosystem.
Okay, but are you pitching them to brands? Are you pitching them to? Are you exploring
Yeah.
partnerships? Are you exploring collaborations which will
Yes.
work? You do.
Yes. Obviously, as Firasat bhai just said, right, that on this panel there are like most of us are logo partners, right? So I cannot be a logo partner if I'm not a live streamer. But how am I a logo partner? Because I basically enable Firasat bhai's logo platform as well as the streamers, so that they can connect with each other. They can create a good sort of a meaningful partnership, and we just enable it.
So give me an example of a good partnership you've created of two
For
gamers, two game streamers coming together.
So currently through our agency, we have almost 21 loco partnered live streamers.
Okay.
We have almost 21 partnered live streamers who are currently streaming on Loco, and we are basically looking after their KPIs, whatever it is provided by Loco. We are helping these guys deliver their minimum number of streaming hours. We are helping these guys deliver minimum number of social media, maybe social media promotions. So this is how we are creating a meaningful partnership. And if I talk about another meaningful partnership, last year we basically helped Asus ROG Phone 2 team to basically launch their Asus ROG Phone 2 in the market through a meaningful partnership with Fronten Gaming. And we basically curated and designed the whole 2 month long campaign, wherein we generated almost 10 to 15 million views by creating a meaningful partnership for Cronden.
Fantastic. So there's some work you put in. It's not,
Well,
you're
I
not
mean,
taking a money for nothing, Shagufta.
I have a perspective to this also, and I'll just add it
Yeah.
for Abhishek's sake. See, how I understood is that for a content creator, there is a part of his job that is known and a part of his job that is unknown. The part of the job that is known is something that everyone else is doing. But when you're like at the cutting edge or at the top 1% of something, a large part of what you're going to face is going to be unknown. I'll give you a recent example of how Abhishek and us partnered to fix something. We have a streamer from Nepal, and paying him became a pain for us because we never had a streamer sign up from abroad, and this was the first time we were figuring out how to pay the guy. And our team, because they're not known to such sort of a system, had a lot of queries. Abhishek's team stepped in and they said, we'll take it up for us, and they sorted it out for the streamer. The streamer in Nepal also didn't know how to get money from a company that's in India. So I'm mentioning the known part and the unknown part. What Abhishek's team gets to keep the money for, the money that you mentioned, part of his earnings, is basically the serving that part of unknown. And that part of unknown is actually what gets the content creators trust in the managing agency. That's short perspective.
Fantastic. So also, talent managers also have career graphs. They push you on. I'm going to ask this to the talent themselves. So what do you see your career graph moving forward as? Shagufta. I mean, sorry, Zaya. If I keep calling you Shagufta, people will kill me.
That's okay.
Do you have a sense of a career graph, or you don't have a sense?
Right now, I just want to focus on streaming and like content creation and stuff. I haven't really thought like of what I'm gonna do like when streaming, kind of falls down.
You're being
That's kind of like,
nasty saying
to
streaming
be
is gonna
honest,
fall down.
I'm completely
You
no.
expect
I don't think
more.
it's gonna go down. But like, I'm getting older. Like, I don't know how
You look
long I
like
can
you're
sustain
not
this.
a day older
But
than 16, man.
Thank you
Okay,
for that.
continue.
But so that is something that I worry about also. Like, I don't really have like a career plan. I just love streaming. That's why I got into this, and I will continue streaming for as long as I can. Like I said, I wanted to get into vlogs, so I will probably start doing that as well. I've been like listening to a lot of like podcasts lately, so I was thinking of like starting my own podcast as well, because that is like another form of content that you can create. So yeah, it's just like more and more like content creation. That's my career graph right now. And like hitting those numbers on YouTube. So yeah.
So what if you don't feel like streaming one day? What happens? I mean, do you have to go in front of your camera and you've got in your computer and you've got to, good Lord, I want to be in bed.
So that is one thing of one good thing about being a streamer and like being your own boss per se, because like one day if you don't feel like it, because you don't want to force yourself to stream, because then it's not natural and it just like even your audience doesn't enjoy it when you don't enjoy. So you can just take a day off and then come back again the next day. If there's like a time where I feel like I don't want to stream, maybe that's the time I should realize that streaming is not for me and I should move on. But I don't think that's going to happen for me. I've been doing this for like 2 years now and I love streaming. There are some days when I just don't feel up for it and I just take breaks on that day and then come back again the next day.
And then they
back to
welcome you
streaming.
back again, and they welcome you back.
Yep, of course. And it's actually good to take
You don't see
breaks
a
once
drop
in a while.
in the audience. You don't see a drop.
No, not really, not really. And they like drops, like they actually like look forward to it. They're like, if ever you like, are you okay, and this and that, we were waiting for your
The distance
stream.
makes the heart grow fonder. So you're recommending that you take a break. So on to Ketan now. Let's get
Yeah.
on to Ketan. So he has a chance to speak to. He's vlogging. So if he doesn't feel like it, he can still, vlog for himself. If he feels crappy, he's got a fever, he can still log, right?
Yeah, I can. In between of this this talk, the whole conversation, I can put up my camera anytime.
Are you?
I can.
No, but are you doing it?
No,
Do it.
not
Let's see.
not
Let's
now.
see. Let's see whether it works. Whether this conversation works. Anyway, I'll move on from there. No, you can really, honestly tell
Actually,
me.
I thought you're allowing me to put up my camera
Please
in
do.
between of this
Please go ahead.
conversation.
Please go ahead. I'm giving you the permission. Go ahead.
Okay, so can I publish that part of the clip into my vlog?
Please go ahead. It's okay. Perfectly fine.
Okay.
Attribute it to us and do it. And let's go ahead with it. Let's
Okay, fine.
let your watchers and your viewers also get to see Zaya and Firasat and understand what's going on in the ecosystem. We've got a question from the audience. I've got Priyanka rudely telling me, ask the question. Is there an opportunity to help streamers who don't know how to leverage their experience in the future? Firasat and Abhishek can take this up, and
I don't think for one, I don't think any content creator knows that he's gonna be huge when they start outright. Everyone starts from zero, and the idea that you should be, prepared to be managing expectations of the future is something that is just a dream and a wish and at the beginning.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part of the job. One of the jobs that we as managers have to do. I mean, we've had a huge inrush of live streamers for the last few months, but then we've also seen people who were basically not big on any other platform or social media, or basically had never live streamed before in their entire life, match up to the numbers of live streamers who are big and huge on other platforms. So kind of goes to say that this is actually a level playing field. And that is why we call ourselves a platform and not just a standalone product that offers a service. And because this is so accessible to everyone, because this is something that can be dreamed of by everyone, but not everyone can put in the kind of hard work that live streamers do. I mean, you'll find people like Zaya or Ketan has an out, but let's then just fixate on Zaya, saying that, hey, I don't know about myself. I might be, I'm getting older or so. These are questions that every content creator in every other industry also asks. And we understand this better because we were in the talent business way before live streaming was our thing. We've been around since 2018, and we've been trying to really understand what gets content creators to work. We've figured out the largest chunks of that, and we have one of the biggest talent businesses in the country. And that's why goes my saying that it's the start that sucks. We explain to them every day that every day you'll suck less and less and less, and then there'll be a day when you'll not suck at all. And and after that begins your journey from you to becoming huge. I mean, I think all the talent can agree.
Yes, so I've got anonymous attendee who objected to my question of lipstick to Zaya, but it's relevant because it was talking about, and I know anonymous attendee is asking another anonymous question. Sir, talking about positivity nowadays, many children watch live streams of the idle game over YouTube, but majority of these streamers interact with their audience, which is not ideal for children. For example, giving slangs like, so how is this culture of streaming good for children for now and also in the future? This is for Zaya and for Zaya primarily, I think. I mean, you don't use slang, do you?
I used to use like a few slangs here and there, but now I've like reduced it by quite a lot. I do realize like sometimes people come in and they're like, hey, my younger sister really is inspired by you. She also wants to be a gamer after seeing you. So I was like, oh wow, like younger people do watch my streams as well. So I should like keep myself in check. Like even my parents, they used to watch my stream and they're like, why are you saying those words? They should not be spoken out of your mouth. And I was like, okay. So yeah, I do realize like that my stream is like actually public and children like can see it. So definitely, like, all content creators should have that, like, family friendly aspect to their streams, especially if they're like a gaming streamer. Gaming is very popular with younger children. So yeah, it all I would say, like, all content creators should, like, try to dial down with their slangs. um, Definitely, and I have done that, like quite a lot. I feel sometimes here and there it does slip out, but I do try to control it.
I get it. So, but you can have, you can have your certificates. You can have for your
Yeah,
audience. You can have you can
yeah,
have different channels.
you can have like a disclaimer saying ki, hey, my stream is not for younger people, this is how I am, this is
Yeah.
the kind of audience I need. They can have a disclaimer like that, so then it's up to the parents of those kids to, like, regulate what their child watches on the internet. So yeah,
Because if you
that's,
become Miss Too Good Shoes, you might put off the people who would like to see you as who you really are.
I mean, I would say, like, I am actually like this, like in real life as well. I don't
When the
really
girls
like to
get
use
together,
slangs too much.
I know when girls get together, when guys and girls get together in the canteen, lots of F's and C's and B's slip out.
Yeah, it does slip off, but then again, you need to realize what sort of content you want to be out there. um like, as a live streamer, like I said, like Firasat said, it's all live, it's all happening like live, so it does, like, slip out here and there, but we should just try to control it. At the end of the day, like, it's public, anybody can see it. um yeah.
Okay, I'm being, there's a gun pointed at my head. I'd like to go on talking to you for the next 3 hours, and we could not stop talking because I love listening. And say hello to, what's her name? What's your dog's name?
Alita.
Anita,
Yeah,
not anonymous. I didn't mean to say, how is that relevant to the discussion? That's but we'd like to, Alita. Bye,
Yeah.
Alita. And a big thank you to all of you all for sharing this panel with me and, opening up about what they see is, the streamers' life on streaming as far as gaming is concerned, and a logger, and how they manage the talent and how they see the future. Thanks a million to each one of you all. And maybe we'll have a longer panel next time. We'll
Sure.
meet each other at least about
Surely.
2 hours to talk to each other.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, each one of you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone. That was a wonderful session.
Thank you.
We now move on to our next panel, getting into the mainstream. For this panel, I would like to introduce our distinguished set of panelists. Ms. Anushri Ghosh, Head of Digital Strategy and Media, ITC Foods Business Division. Ms. Krishna Rao S. Buddha, Senior Category Head Marketing, Pali Products Private Limited. Ms. Archana Agarwal, VP Media, Airtel. Mr. Green Chan Ching Lin, Regional Marketing Manager, MSI. Mr. Pavan Avasti, Head Consumer Marketing, NVIDIA South Asia. This session will be moderated by Mr. Vinit Karnik, Business Head, Group M, ESP. I welcome you all. And now over to you, Mr. Karnik.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I hope you guys are doing pretty well and are safe and healthy. Just to set the context, had a very, very exciting previous session on streaming, and I got a chance to hear some of the absolute young budding talent for the last 10 minutes. So a great context to something that we are going to be talking to you about. Okay. Very interestingly, again, Anil and the team at Animation Express and Indian Television, thanks a lot for putting this together. Absolutely relevant subject. And it's really a gems. I mean, it's a gem of a crown, because today we have just getting into the unlock mode post the lockdown, and the gaming esports have really triggered a lot of conversations and excitement within the gaming community, within the marketing community. And the subject given to us today and to my panelist is extremely, extremely important and apt, which is getting into the mainstream. So we are going to be discussing. So immediately out of the panel, which was about streaming, getting into mainstream for all the gaming community, including the streamers, is really a very exciting conversation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be very quickly setting context for the viewers and the audience in terms of what the gaming sector looks like from a marketing perspective. Okay, and then we will go and deep dive into some of the global context, some of the technology part of it, and of course we have got three fantastic marketeers who are brand custodians in a very very big and relevant way from our perspective, and we will then open to some questions for them. So just to set some context, the Indian gaming landscape, okay, the online gaming landscape is about 365 million live active users, okay, who spend about on an average about 60 plus minutes a day, almost an hour a day playing any game of sort, right? Three out of the four preferred mobile gamings, okay, and we are amongst the top five gaming markets in the world. Now, a very very interesting observation on this one is that three out of the four people who play game in India are they prefer playing on mobile. So very clearly evident that India is going to be a mobile first market. Unlike the West, which is more console driven or a PC driven, India is going to be a predominantly a mobile first market. Now, from a smartphone, now that we have established that it's going to be driven by a mobile and a smartphone driven market, 31% growth rate is what we have seen a YOY in this segment since 2018 that we are tracking, and about 14x growth from 2010. Now that's very clearly evident the reason why Animation Express and Indian television has found it relevant to do a summit on gaming and esports. Absolutely relevant because it's absolutely a growth story all the way. We have seen a 13% increase in app downloads over the last 1.5 year, which leads into a market growth of almost about 40% from an Indian gaming industry perspective. So basically, what is driving the gaming media and platforms landscape? So very clearly, online gaming segment is driving enormous amount of engagement, and we have seen that in the previous session where so much excitement around streaming and content being driven. Esports is expected to be transforming the gaming industry in future. Okay, that's what is the prediction most of the experts within the country and outside are predicting. New levels of excitement are going to be creating through the tech platforms. Millennials are going to be driving the entire ecosystem and the growth phase in this sector. And as we spoke earlier, it's going to be a mobile first market. Typically, whenever we discuss this, we normally encounter the questions like, is gaming driven by skill or is it driven by luck? Without a doubt, we have spent almost a day and a half to discuss this, and I don't have any doubt in my mind, at least, that it is certainly a game of skill. And in my mind, I would want to ask a question to start this entire conversation, saying that, isn't this mainstream already? Were we waiting for the pandemic to come to us? To me, everyone I speak to, one in two people are already having some games on their mobile phone or on their laptops, and they are actively engaged with that. So in my mind, are we going to be mainstream or not is not a question. We are already mainstream from a gaming industry standpoint. The question is, how are we going to be narrowing the gap between some of the live sports like a cricket or a football or a kabaddi in India, and possibly compare it with the gaming and esport as an economy. As Priyanka aptly has introduced, I have some fantastic panelists with me to share this subject. Two from a very very technology background. I have Pawan Avasti, who's from NVIDIA, who comes up with a fabulous perspective with global understanding of the subject. We have Green Lin from a regional manager, marketing manager from MSI, who's spending a lot of time in creating hardware which is going to be enable the growth story and enable the gaming community to play and create content better. We have Anushri Ghosh from ITC Foods. We have Krishnana Buddha from Parle Products. And of course, we have Archana Agarwal, Vice President Media from Airtel. I'm going to be straight away jumping and asking questions. The first one comes to you, Pawan. Considering the kind of experience and vision you guys have from NVIDIA in terms of how do you see the gaming and the esports industry compared to India? I mean, if you could throw some light in terms of your understanding from a global context, that will really help us set the tone going forward. So Pawan, over to you on this one.
So thank you, Vineet, and hello everyone, and thanks for having me on this panel. Really excited to be here, and I'll be delighted to share the inputs that I have from the gaming perspective. NVIDIA is the name to reckon with when it comes to the gaming, especially on the PC as a platform. So I represent that particular segment, I would say. So broadly speaking, you have already given the numbers as far as India is concerned, and you're right when you said that it's a mobile-first country. But from the global perspective, and that's where the difference lies, India is a bit different here because globally there are close to 2 billion gamers when we talk about gamers in general, and 60% of them actually game on the PC as a platform, not mobile. So almost 1.5 billion gamers are there who are gaming on the PC and the console as a segment. India is very different here. And the good thing here is that, the average age, while the worldwide is 30 plus, if you talk about the demographies, in India, it is less than 20. So we have a lot more younger audience, and it has been possible because of the affordable hardware or the platform which mobile provides basically. And it's a freemium kind of a model, which is propelling this growth in India. So you just need a mobile, don't really need to buy a game as such, and you can start gaming. And another interesting aspect is you don't only game, but you also create. So we have seen somebody like Zaya, for example, in the earlier panel. And there are many more creators who are mobile gamers. For example, Dynamo with 9 million subscribers in India. I mean, almost 90 lakh people follow him. And he's a 20-something plus, youngster from Mumbai. And there are at least 5-10 of them I know personally, Scout, and I can give you those names. So the gaming and the creative part actually really is fueling this particular growth. However, from the worldwide perspective, esports has been one of the growth drivers when it comes to the gaming. Almost 500 million people worldwide, and India also almost 10 million people. They either play it professionally, but there is a larger segment who watches it. And this growth in viewership actually creates this virtuous cycle of increasing prize pool, because prize pools are also increasing. And in some games, in some esports tournaments, it is actually bigger than the Wimbledon and the other, physical sports format. I'm talking about the prize pool, which then continues to attract even, the world's best talent. So this particular cycle where prize pool is increasing, number of viewers is increasing. So I think that probably is propelling the growth, and that there lies another kind of an opportunity, because then gaming doesn't become a e-sport only. It becomes another viable entertainment option where people create content, not only for their own sake, but for the sake of people who are watching it. And that audience is also very huge, I would say. Yeah, so these are my initial thoughts, Vineet. Vineet, over to you. These are my initial thoughts. Can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So on that note, I would want to bring in Green Ching Chang Lin in this, considering that we are already talking about a mobile first market. How do you guys see it at MSI? I mean, you guys have been doing some fantastic work from a hardware perspective. I have seen some great products coming out of MSI. How are you looking at India as a market, Green?
Hi. Hello. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. But let me just very quickly introduce. My name is Changqing Ling. I'm in charge of laptop marketing for in MSI for Middle East and India. So I have been in MSI for over 10 years. So that these 10 years are our prime time. Like we are working on laptops, on gaming laptops, and talking to the community, to host events. So I kind of witnessed our development of this gaming market together. Yeah. So back to the questions, how do I see the India market? Yeah, India is one of the most the fastest growing market in the world. So now we can see like especially for the mobile gamers, that's a huge growth, and we can also see like for people they're looking for a better device to enjoy their the gameplay. So I would, in the beginning, I would like to define like how do we say like esports, or how do we say like the topic like is gaming a mainstream? Um, so this gaming or esports, I think this is not only for professional players. This should be something like everybody can enjoy. So you play it on your mobile phone, you can be competitively, you can be a professional player, or like but the most important is how do you enjoy it? If you enjoy it, you get be a gamer. If you enjoy not only playing a game, you can doing something else, like you're a creator, you're doing live streaming, or like if you're hosting events, you could be like the event organizer, or you could be an analyst. So everything like can be put together uh, into the esports market. And we can see like in India, there are more and more people like doing this. So on our social media and our email, like we're receiving like so many emails like every day, or for people who are saying like, okay, I'm starting this YouTube channel. I play games. I love playing games. Like, can you give me some suggestions, or how can we do it? And also like when we go to last year, we had done like more than 100 local events. So in these events, we go to like different cities. We talk to these people who just go to our shop or our event places. They would love to like put their hands on the laptops and just play like a few hours. So we can see like so many people are enjoying it, and India is really growing very, very fast. Okay.
Yeah,
That's
Green,
my short share.
I get what you're saying. The question that I wanted to possibly ask you was that we already have established the fact that India is going to be a mobile first market. So are you saying that MSI is catering to the people who are want to be taking gaming as a sector professionally, or sort of semi-professionally? Because and do you see esports as a industry shaping up in India from a mobile as well? So I mean, do you see the esports tournaments in India being organized and people are playing on the mobile, unlike the West where most esports tournaments are played on a console or on a PC? Do you see that trend happening in India?
Currently, we can see that there are more and more esports tournaments coming to India right now. And so far, most of them, many of them are for PC gaming. But mobile gaming is certainly growing super fast. If we say like PUBG Mobile used to be like the most popular game here, and it's also we got the biggest market. So we will see like how the situation goes because of the government regulations. But certainly there, if we take looking at the gaming market, there are more than 160 billion US dollar for the gaming market. And mobile games take like 50%, more than 50% of it. So certainly there will be like more and more like mobile gaming tournaments here coming, not only globally, but also in India, because you can see like India is the biggest the mobile gaming market in the world. Okay.
Great. So while we heard Pawan and Green talk about the gaming and esports market from a technology perspective and the kind of work these two companies are doing into this space, but coming back to the subject in terms of can mobile and esports be considered to be mainstream? In my mind, that's going to be that's not going to happen without the support of a massive marketing community, the brands and the advertiser community. So I want to bring in our three experts on the panel, starting from Archana in terms of Archana, how do you see this? I mean, Pawan spoke about a huge influencer-based following on YouTube, and people actually watch them play and follow these youngsters, very, very regularly. How do you at Airtel, Archana, see this space coming out? How do you want to, and how do you see Airtel leveraging this breed of a completely different community which is shaping up in our country?
Yeah, so actually, if I look at it from, I just wanted to just give a slight background because, when we talk esports, I think a lot of marketers don't understand that gaming is actually divided into multiple sets.
Absolutely.
There is casual gaming, there is esports, which is the hardcore gaming where people play professionally, and then there's fantasy gaming, right?
True.
And I think it's really important to first bifurcate it, because when we look at gaming, people assume mobile. When you say mobile gaming, it could also mean people playing Candy Crush for that matter. And there
Absolutely.
are huge numbers and huge statistics.
True.
If you start actually looking at just hardcore or the esports gaming, as I would call it, it's a much more smaller number, right? If I now coming back to, and I just wanted to bring that up front because, a lot of, it took us also time to figure out these segments and saying that there is different segments and who are we going after and what is the role that each of these segments play for us, right? But coming to esports primarily, in fact, this year we've actually, we've done our first foray into esports where we've tied up with Nordwind Games, and we are now the title sponsor of the esports tour across all their sporting events throughout the year, right?
Right.
And that's what we're doing. And obviously this is our first foray, and we're also learning as we go along what's working. So we do understand that, okay, there are people who play, then there are people who stream, but how do you find the differences between the two? And there are people who are both gamers and streamers.
True.
Identifying them and getting to communicate with them or talking to them is much more tougher, because this community is very small and may not be as easy to reach unless and until you're in the whole esports league. And I think that's what that has been our journey, and we've just started off. So, and we've also spoken to other people, other some like media houses like India Today have come and are actually now creating esport tournaments, right? They did one, I think, last year, and they were planning to do one this year also. So if media houses are going to start getting,
they were planning the PUBG tournament,
exactly. So, and last year I think they did Free Fire or Fortnite or one of those. I'm not really sure, but I know that they did something. And if media houses today start getting in, and a lot of other people start getting it, because till now there were very few people who were actually doing creating these tournaments or creating opportunities for people to play professionally, right? And to play, and everybody was doing it. Maybe it was very unorganized. And now I see some bit of organization happening with people with large houses or media houses or companies getting into it and creating these, and that's when the brands will start following. As I said, we've already tied up. We are working our way through. We are also doing some amount of a streaming on our own app, which is the Extreme app. So we have some level of streaming which happens of gaming of the esports tournaments on our apps. We've seen some traction in numbers and things like that. So let's see how it goes now. It's a learning process.
That's absolutely fantastic, Archana. It really helps put things into perspective. So you very clearly have chosen to be a part of the larger events in India, because whether it's ESL or these kind of tournaments are obviously are going to be the growth drivers, and you have very clearly chosen that path. Coming to you, Mr. Krishna Rao, and how do you see this space panning? Because you have a roster of products which cater to various different TGs, so to say. I mean, there is no one bullseye TG. You have a very mixed bag. How do you see this space panning out, and how do you want to, or how do you see yourself leveraging this space?
Yeah, hi. Very good morning to all. Vineet, actually, like Archana mentioned, I think still for us, so we have sort of evolved from typical television, print, radio, outdoor, the traditional conventional mediums to digital now. Recently, I am saying recently as in it's been some time actually, about since at least 2016. I am saying, so let's say with the advent of 4G, things have become much easier, and that has given us a lot of conviction to do a lot more digital. And though we have sort of not really made as much of an headway as far as esports is concerned, though it's quite lucrative and it's quite tempting, but it's still, though we've been saying that the numbers are really growing, and the lockdown has actually enabled and sort of encouraged and really increased the numbers. We've not really seen this as an opportunity still. So we have restricted largely, like being on platforms like OTT or social media typically has been the digital play. But having said that, there is definitely an opportunity. But as a marketer, so it's about roughly about 4 to 5 years ago, we sort of received a sponsorship proposal, but actually we could not really understand. So as a marketer, my submission is there is definitely a need to do a lot more events, lot more education as to what are the opportunities, what are the ways and means to be a part of esports. For marketers, for media experts, I think this is very important to understand how the mechanisms of esports, so that the brands can come forth and sort of participate.
Okay, so that's a great point. And Anil, I think from a Indian television or animation express standpoint, this is a great point, because the subject of gaming and esports becoming mainstream, I think the moment you have the parlay products leveraging the esports and the gaming ecosystem, I mean, that will make a great headway towards making it mainstream, isn't it? Coming to you, Anushri, I mean, you understand the digital landscape pretty well, and you've been working in this segment for quite some time. How do you see your set of portfolio using this? I mean, have you done some kind of a work already? Are you leveraging it? Your opening thoughts.
Sure. So I think, hello everyone, and it's wonderful to be on this panel, and it's a large learning experience for me as well. And I think I'll begin by saying that I really resonate with what Krishna Rao was just saying. Being a house of brands of a whole lot of large CPG brands, which kind of traverse in terms of the target audience that we want to kind of reach out to. So whether it's females, and I know for a fact that the casual gamers of India are predominantly females. I think we have got 49% of, that's what I was reading somewhere. I think there's a predominant salience when it comes to female audiences in casual gaming. And of course, there are, professional esport tournaments, etc., which are kind of around, and of course, working with the creators. But as a media individual and as someone who's kind of representing brands, I think there are a couple of 3 points, and I think Mr. Krishna also made those points. To begin with, I think the way we advertise on gaming, and yes, we do advertise on gaming simply because we have brands that talk to that 15 to 25 or a 15 to 30 age group, whether it's a snack brand or it's a confectionery brand, we are consistently reaching out to these audiences. But, one of the questions, and that's one of the questions that, media people actually put out a lot, that the more engaged the audience is, interruption-based communication becomes that much more annoying or that much more interrupting, and does that kind of play a negative role when it comes to driving the mind measures, or is there a little bit of a negative connotation that is left in the mind of the consumer because it's annoying, because the consumer is playing something and there is an interruption-based communication that comes in. So that's point one. Then as a media individual and as a brand owner, I have questions around the efficacy of in-game advertising, or even do mind measures really move if I have co-created a game on a particular platform? Does that really kind of drive effectiveness and efficiency for brands? Because these are extremely engaged platforms again. And the consumer is actually paying to kind of get rid of advertising. So, given the platform, the nature of the platform, the effectiveness of advertising is something that needs to really be established. And this is like how larger digital players, when digital was becoming mainstream, your platforms like YouTubes and Facebooks of the world had to kind of come up with a whole lot of proof points to establish to us that a platform like this is really, really viable in terms of moving your business objectives. So I think one of the large questions that exist in our mind that yes, there is a captive audience that's playing a whole lot of games that's really, really engaged on these platforms, be it on YouTube, consuming content created by creators, or it's, the mobile casual games, or even esport tournaments as well. What is the role of branding and advertising, and how effective and efficient is that? How brand safe is it? How viewable is it? All of those questions essentially kind of, need to be answered, which have not been answered in a more effective manner. That's why you will see gaming is probably less than 2% of the overall media mix still amongst the large advertisers, right? So I think, those would be my initial thoughts that yes, as advertisers, we know that our consumer is there, but we need hand-holding, we need much more information, we need research, we need some kind of validation, case studies, etc., to kind of understand how it kind of plays a role, in this entire journey of, brand building, so to speak.
Very, very pertinent points, Anushri, Krishnarav, and Archana, from all three of you. And I think this is going to be very, very important, setting the context going forward for the industry. And in the last 6 months that we have been locked down at home, I have personally done at least 50 to 60 gaming based webinars for our clients internally to possibly, and I completely agree with you. I mean, including me, I mean, the kind of age group I belong to, I mean, we need that hand holding and that learning, because I'm not a first generation gamer. I mean, let me accept that, right? So from that perspective, I completely agree. You need a lot of hand holding, and that's what as industry we should, look for. Archana actually did a very, very valid comment, and I was hearing her very, very carefully on casual games. Okay, now that's a very, very pertinent point. And if you look at India, most of the people in India are, majority of them would fall in the casual gaming category and not active professional gaming category. And that's the reason why it's a mobile first market, because most people who are on mobile are playing a game for a very casual purpose. Giving you a global context, and I would want to bring Pawan in on this one. I mean, in my view, whatever little I have learned over the last couple of years that I'm being a student of this space, is that most of the right holders who are successful in this space are successful because of the in-app purchases as a business model. Okay, so you play a game, there are a lot of powers or things that you possibly buy within the game when you're competing, and that's a very, very big revenue model, followed by subscription-based games. And then comes the advertiser-driven model, which in India is at a very, very early adoption stage. And I completely resonate your thought, coming from a media background, that it's in a very, very early adoption stage. And Anu, I would love to see a 2% number, because it's definitely much, 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 much lesser than that. The day we achieve that 2% number, I think we'll be very, very happy as an industry. But yeah, I mean, that's a great admission to have. Considering that, and considering Pawan, I just mentioned a couple of revenue model and business models, what needs to be done from a tech perspective, from a hardware perspective, to possibly get India at a center stage where advertisers start seeing value in this? Because globally, the business model is very different. And I believe in India, it's going to be not the same, because it's not going to be, because it's a mobile first market and casual games is going to be taking the center stage. How do you convince Archana or a Krishna or a Anushri to actually see value from a sheer ROI perspective into this?
Sure, Vinny. So I think I'm learning something really, great as an insight coming from Anushri, Archana, and I would say the team who's there on the other side, because I've been representing the technology side of it. So really great insights over there, and I completely agree, because my approach towards gaming is very different than the approach of this team. I think Archana made a very pertinent point here by saying that gaming is not one single genre that we can talk about. There are multiple ways to slice and dice it. And that's where the difference lies. If you talk about casual gaming, the business model is very different. Of course, it's in-app purchases or in-app advertising also. But when we talk about the serious gaming, I mean, for the lack of a better word, let me use that word, serious gaming. And if you're talking about 360 or whatever that number is, very large number of people who are playing games on mobile in India. Another way to look into it, what are those AAA titles, for example, PUBG Mobile or Call of Duty Mobile or Free Fire, for example. I think the combination of these three titles itself is represent more than 150 million downloads in our country and more than 100 million monthly active users. So even the serious gaming audience is pretty sizable in our country on mobile, even if you leave the casual gaming aside. And the way the monetization happens on that side is basically through the microtransactions. And that's where all the publishers have learned basically, which is very different than the monetization which happens on the PC gaming side of it, where you have to upfront buy the game, especially the AAA title games, which are actually bigger than many Hollywood movies. Call of Duty is one such title on the PC. The new one is getting released, and within a week's time, people anticipate that it's going to generate a 1 billion in its revenue from the game purchase itself. But on the mobile gaming side of it, if you're talking about the serious mobile gamers, the microtransaction, the in-game purchases is something which is very, very, that's the one way that we have seen people, getting the revenue out of it. Another way basically is, especially for the advertisers, while the in-game advertiser could be an interruption for somebody who's into the gaming, but leveraging that content to communicate to this particular TG is one way that I've seen working. And I've seen many such brands getting themselves associated with the game and creating a separate content to reach out to that TG is something that I've seen working. And obviously, we are talking about a very different TG who might not be interested in, usual consumer durables or, fast-moving consumer goods. But when it comes to their buying decision on mobile or PC or any other technology stuff, I think we have seen successes. MSI Green is there on the other side. He's one of the partners that we work very, very closely with. And they have seen this success basically coming where they have collaborated with the game publishers, have created a specific content to, plug in their product basically. And we have seen the resonance happening from the gamer side of it. Yeah.
Perfect, Pawan. I mean, you actually took the words out of my mouth. And my next question to Green was in that space. That considering we are seeing a little muted adoption from the advertising community in India per se, are you guys at MSI looking at collaborating, like you're collaborating with the publishers? Are you at a development stage looking at collaborating with the advertising community? Because that's when they will actually see value. Because instead of creating a complete different ROI metric, which is a consumer-driven metric, the moment you're a part of a game or you're a part of a hardware, it's a completely different ball game. So are you looking at models like that? Any thoughts, Green, on this one?
Yeah, actually, we have been doing this like for a while. So there are some parts. So especially for like some more like more like single player games, like in tips. For this kind of games, like we have been, for example, we have been working with Assassin's Creed lately. So that's is a kind of integration. So some features when you if you play on an MSI laptop and you play Assassin's Creed, you will see some like a special lighting effects showing on your keyboard, or you can connect to like external lighting panel. So everything like will make you, when you play games, you will have more immersive different feelings. And we've also working with some for mobile games, we also with some different publishers to have the in-game costume as well. And all of this, I think, especially for like for brands, we need to working together with a publisher or with a developer to have a better understanding. Also talk to the communities, and like for some games, we do like a special editions to have special edition laptops. So for people who are really love it, they will they will love to have one. And speaking of microtransaction, I think that's a very interesting thing, because if you're a gamer, like you love it and you hate it, or most gamers, I think they hate it. They don't want their games to be when they play, they don't want to be disturbed. They just want to enjoy the game. So, but that's in another way. That's how to keep the game going on. So there are something that we cannot avoid. And there's another thing to engage with to this advertising mode is like there are some serious tournaments going on in the world, like every day. So whether if you are part of the of these events, like for brand wise, you get visibilities, and for gamer wise, like when they will be able to maybe make a better understanding of a brand, or to like to have a better choice when they next considering for something. This definitely need to work closely together and to find a balanced business model. Yeah.
Sure. That's great, Green. So one of the questions from that I see in the chat box is from Mr. A.R. Krishna, who's saying that why do we already think it's mainstream, and why do you see so many fewer teams representing India? I think the answer pretty much lies in the subject, where we are actually debating a lot of interfaces that will come together, because the moment you have got more of esports and more of console-driven kind of events happening, you will see more teams participating, and it's eventually also a matter of profession if someone wants to choose, and therefore people are going towards the streaming channels more and not creating teams, because we don't have so many opportunities in the country yet. Having said that, from a marketing standpoint, and this question is going to be common to all you three, Archana, Krishna and Anushri, that if there is a wish list that you want to draw, that as marketeers, what would you want the industry to do for you guys to take them seriously, or for you guys to leverage that platform? And we already have Pawan and Green making very, very strong points that gamers don't like to be disturbed from a advertising coming on their standpoint. So they are more immersive and not so much interruptive. So if there is a wish list that you will have, because very clearly the reason I'm asking this question is there is a massive amount of captive audience there, which none of us would want to miss, right? I mean, that's a fact. Yeah. If we want to talk to them, what could be a wish list which possibly would be on your drawing board, respective drawing boards, going forward, Archana, Krishna and Anushri?
Okay, so let me just start on this. I think the most important thing, I think Anushri and Krishna have both mentioned it to some awareness, right? Now, if you would asked me this question about anything about esports, say around a year ago, I would know very little. Because, it's about, because we got interested in it, we said, okay, and that's when we started doing a lot more understanding of this space, okay? And it's not easy to get this information. Today, if I still want to understand out of the huge gamer base, what percentage of people are those hardcore or professional gamers, it's very difficult to get these numbers. All numbers today available are, so one, I think most important is awareness about the platforms, mediums and stuff like that. I think that's important. The second piece is, this whole thing about what can we do? Like, y'all understand this gaming space much better than marketers do. We don't understand it. You need to help us understand as to what can we do to not interrupt gamers while they're advertising, while they're playing, sorry, and how do we still reach them? Because at the end of it, my role as a marketer is to reach out to that consumer and give them my video narrative or some communication. I have to tell them, I have to give them that communication. I want them to see that communication, right? What is the best way without interrupting their play? How can we give this communication? And that's the help we require. The second is what are the opportunities available to talk to them in a manner which actually engages them more and makes them closer towards our brands. Okay, that's what we want, right? Now, there could be different routes that we look at for, say, the casual gamers, because typically the casual gaming routes are typically right now in game, you do some static branding and stuff like that, or you do for rewards, you give them a video, watch this
Correct.
video, and you make some, you can get a life, or you can get, it's very simple, right? Now, is that the best way? Is there something else? I don't know today. I know that this is the best, this is what I know, so I'm using it, right? And that's why the spend is limited, because yes, maybe it's a forced view. I don't know if a forced view is better than asking now, because if they want a life, they'll have to watch my video. If I go to hardcore, what gamers, it's much more difficult to reach them. What can we do? I know there are some examples of Mercedes doing something or DHL doing something globally, right? Only when some marketers getting into it, then we get to know about, there are some examples which are there. But what are the best practices? How do we use them? What is the value that that association is going to bring to the brand? Is it associating with the event, or is it associating with a team, or with an individual player? I think there are many multiple opportunities, but not each of them have been explored to its fullest. And I don't think marketers today, given the kind of work that they have to do to go and get this information, which is very difficult, is not so, it's how is it going to become easier for us to get that information? And I think that itself, if that challenge can be addressed, I think it starts from a simple thing about awareness, or creating that awareness of saying, if I look at when, Hotstar and OTT, Sony Live started. Sony Live was one of the first OTT players to start. Then Hotstar came about. It's taken them a few years to get to this point of getting, brands to start advertising on them. Everybody didn't buy onto that bandwagon on an immediate basis. That same thing is going to happen from a gaming standpoint. It's going to take some time, but the time also means that it's a two-way process, that we need the game, these companies to come back to us and tell us what's happening, what can be done, versus saying, acha, ek event sponsorship kar do. And that's what, okay, I'm doing one event or a championship, come and sponsor it. That may not always be the need of every marketer.
Sure. Fair points. Very pertinent points, Archana. Thank you for that. Krishna, your take.
Yeah. So again, I think though there is some headway, like you aptly mentioned, Vinith, the revenue source predominantly from sponsorships or from subscription. But so certain games are doing extremely well, wherein these are like simple games, wherein actually to get certain points or certain gems or certain possess some key possessions, one needs to actually view some advertising, and that seems to be pretty okay. And that too, again, in those, I have seen a lot of segmentation. So there are short ads and there are long ads. So if you are able to restrict your ad at max to a 30-seconder, I think it would sort of suffice, and it could not really be treated as much of an intrusion into the gamer's domain. Having said that, so again, so typically there is a concern that of personalization or personalized communication as well. I'll give you an example. Suppose one browses on a travel portal, and then suddenly you start noticing that on whichever game that you're playing, you start seeing a small banner on it. And actually, it so happened with me. I actually completed my travel. I came back and I was playing, and again I was being shown the same message, because I have already booked the hotel, I had booked the flight, and I had completed the journey, and still it was showcasing me the same ad. Somewhere, I think there is the algorithm built in is not really up to the mark, wherein the travel portal or the gaming company or the algorithm should have been such that one should have been able to identify that this person has already completed the purchase, and you need to show something new or something different. So that again raises a doubt. So I feel that is one thing that again gaming companies should really look into. Archana, like mentioned earlier, so OTT, also there was a lot of education. It took us time. Okay, so initially Z also had like earlier Avatar, Ditto TV and others, and then of course there are like lots of them which followed, but now it's become relatively easier. It's almost a parallel to television. So we have a lot of video playing options, we have banner playing options. We have a lot of integration opportunities on OTT platforms, so it's become relatively easier. Yeah. So if you look back 5 years ago, possibly it would have been sounding very alien, not really knowing much about it. From that perspective, I think, say for example, though TikTok now has been banned, suddenly we saw that there was a strong marketing on TikTok. And as a result of which there were lots of advertisers which sort of onboarded. I'm saying even just around the lockdown time, Rekit did a huge campaign with TikTok before it got banned and all, and it had like terrific views, etc. So likewise, I feel these big gamers or big gaming companies actually should also make strong marketing effort. Like you mentioned, the revenue stream, advertising is coming almost the third. So they're not really focused. They're looking at leveraging the subscriptions and maybe sponsorships. The advertising possibly might come later, wherein actually I feel the wish list would be that there should be strong agencies, representatives of these companies, which should come and educate the marketers and make them participate. And I think it has to be worked out mutually to everyone's benefit.
Fantastic. In fact, Manish Agarwal, I can see him join in just now, and he must have heard your comment loud and clear. On that note, Anushri, you get the last word.
I think there is nothing more that I can add to whatever has been said by both the marketers here, to be honest. And Archana spoke about the journey, and I think Krishna also touched upon that. I think the journey is extremely important. And as digital players started to grow, I think there was a lot of strategic partnership that started to happen. So whether it's understanding of the consumer behavior on gaming platforms, or the creative best practices, or what should be the custom solution basis brand objectives, is something that drove credibility of each of these platforms from a communication and advertising perspective. And then of course measurements followed suit. So I think all of these kind of put together essentially will only kind of standardize or bring gaming platforms akin to any other digital platform that one invests at scale, right? So I think, if we get that adequate amount of awareness, that adequate amount of understanding of these platforms and what the consumers are doing on these platforms, and hence the communicating on these platforms, what role does it play in my media mix and brand building journey? I think all of those points essentially will, enable us to, drive adoption of gaming platforms at scale.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Anushri. And we've just overshot the time. So very quickly, what comes across, one sharp point I wanted to make for the industry to recognize is that there is a need of knowledge sharing. There is a need of a lot of case studies and a lot of adoption-based initiatives that the industry needs to take and educate all of us, including the agencies, including the right holders and all these guys. So that definitely knowledge sharing and some kind of a case study building is the need of an hour. And I'm sure it's a sleeping giant, the way I call it. I personally believe that the gaming and the esports business and the sector is a sleeping giant in India. And I think no sooner the efforts like these will ensure that we will reach the goal post at some stage, and we will be discussing absolutely a lot of things at scale and make this a truly a unique and a compelling industry to look for. So thank you very much, Anushri, Krishna Rao, Archana, Green, and Pawan. And thank you, Anil, Indian Television and Animation Express.
Thank you, Vineet. Vineet, I'm over here. Vineet, I'd like to thank you for the way you took this panel along and all the panelists. So the idea of GEMS was clearly to create some awareness amongst these fantastic brand people and also the agencies. So thank you for coming in from your side. ESP has been a mover and shaker in this part, and keep spreading the gospel of esports and games and the kind of potential it has for as a communication tool for brands. Thank you for that lovely session.
Thank you, Anil. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, all the panelists.
So thank you, everyone. Thanks, Anil.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Anil.
So I thank you all for this engaging discussion. And we now move on to our next panel, Maneuvering Through the Indian Maze. For this panel, I would like to introduce our eminent self-talk panelist, Mr. Manish Agarwal, Chief Executive Officer, Nazara Technologies Limited, Mr. Amit Khanduja, Chief Executive Officer, Reliance Entertainment Digital, Mr. Rajiv Sharma, Head of Equity Research, SBI Caps Securities, Mr. Rajan R. Navani, Vice Chairman and Managing Director, Jet Synthesis, part of the Jetline Group of companies. And this session will be moderated by Mr. Anil Vanwari. I welcome you all, and over to you, Mr. Vanwari.
Wow, I mean, the previous panel was really very educational and very eye-opening. I'll begin by asking, I have a fabulous panel here, by asking each one of the game industry titans who are over here on how do they view the gaming esports ecosystem in India? What is their perspective? Where are we at in the journey of the entire ecosystem? Beginning with Manish.
Hi, Anil, and hi, Rajan, Amit, Rajiv, everyone here. Thank you for having me. Anil, before I start, I also have a message for the previous panel. I was listening to them, and I've been a marketeer for quite some time, as you are aware. And as a marketeer, it was my responsibility to keep myself abreast with what's happening. Where are my consumers? What are they consuming? What are they spending time on? And try them, because that was the gospel we had in Levers, that you need to be really knowing your consumers, meeting them, and living their life. I think a lot of onus is on the industry to create awareness, but I'm surprised that it is I'm sitting on a high chair and you need to come and tell me and evangelize me and make me aware of it. While there are 400 million gamers who are playing this is a medium which they're spending most amount of time. And as a marketeer, if you can't be a consumer yourself, you are not playing games yourself, there is no way in the hell you can understand it, how much amount of pitches we can keep doing it.
I get what you're saying, but you sound a little peaked right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, I am. Because I believe that as a marketeer, you need to really understand that where is my consumer, and especially if you're talking to a 14-year-old to 25, 30-year-old, they are spending copious amount of time on gaming, and that is will continue to increase. So effort to really become a gamer, I'm not saying you to become a hardcore, mid-core gamers, but taking an effort to play yourself games and understand the medium. All of us understand the TV medium very well because that's what we have been born and brought up. And hence that medium naturally comes to us, likewise for radio. Adoption of the new medium and becoming consumer of new medium is also very important for a marketer.
I get it now. I get it. So, but from our perspective, we believe that there's some awareness to be created. While
absolutely,
because there's so much of multiplicity of media, it's challenging for them to get the right kind of information. Hence, GEMS was put up. We've had many other initiatives in the past, but this was one of the first initiatives where we got in a lot of brands to come and express themselves. So I'm really happy for the feedback they've given us. And from our perspective, from the gaming industry's perspective, we have to do a lot of evangelization.
Yep.
That's a reality.
Yes.
Take it as a reality. Amit, Rajan, all of your, and even Rajiv will tell you the same. He's from the investment background. I'll begin with Rajiv then, a financial perspective. How do you view this entire ecosystem? As an investor, as somebody who recommends, who analyzes, as compared to television and as compared to OTT?
Yeah, hi. Hi, Anil. Hi, Manish. Hi, Amit. And hi, Rajan. Thanks for the opportunity. So this is an evolving segment, so today it is more about the VCs and the private equity, which is looking at the space. And we are yet to see some IPOs in this name. But this is an evolving segment as far as investors are concerned. They are not only looking at the absolute opportunity which is present here, but also the potential disruption it may have from the share of ads to TV, OTT, and investors have also looked at the way the short video format suddenly came and became such a big hype, and TikTok came after Facebook was all settled, Facebook, Instagram combined, and then TikTok became so big. So they're always looking at small things which start small and grow very big. And gaming in India, there's been a lot of skepticism, particularly mostly around the regulatory regime, and there are still some things which are state subjects, which make the regulatory stability little tricky for the investors. But yes, it is considered evolving. The awareness at the investor level is not that much. There are only few who are looking at this space versus the rest of the startup space or the evolving space. So I agree with Anil that there's a lot of teaching to be done, but to an extent, I also agree with Manish that only when we started watching Netflix, Amazon, or TV, we understood how it works, and where can people fit in, or where can advertisers fit in. And given that OTT started with more of A-words as a model than S-word, I think effort from both the sides have to be there. But at this space, if you look at that the Gen Z population, the smartphone, the ecosystem developing, we're talking about 5G, and we're talking about VR, AR. All these are saying that the ecosystem is there, the user traction is there. COVID has also accelerated in downloads in some of the games like Carom and Ludo Kings, and they've been interesting trends to watch out. Money is flowing in, so we are all set for a opportunity which could and look at US and China. They have so many listed gaming companies. Some of them do a lot of other things, but there are pure gaming companies as well. So I think once the regulatory stability is more perceived as stable, we will see. So Nazara and other names have been in discussion of an IPO. Once that happens, the investor visibility and ability to understand the space will increase a lot more.
Well, Rajan, over to you, Rajan. That's his perspective. I'll come to Amit. He's been one of the early starters, but I'll come to Amit later.
Thanks, Anil, and hi, Manish, Amit, Rajiv. Great to be here. And on a subject that is of tremendous interest, at least when it comes to what has happened in a COVID and what will happen and sustain in a post-COVID world. I think when we talk of gaming, I think the biggest difference with gaming compared to many other methods of digital platforms or engagement is the engagement level, right? I mean, I think the amount of time people are spending on games has exponentially grown, in this period. And that is what has brought attention, to what some of the things that Manish and Rajiv have already alluded to. On the regulatory front, definitely there is a lot of, discussion around the different formats, the different forms, fantasy sport versus real money gaming versus gaming versus esport. I think there are multiple buckets, as we look at gaming is getting defined, particularly in a country like India. But what I would really like to see is, and benchmark this against, is like, if you look at it globally, right, which we talk of $150 billion global gaming industry, which is driven significantly, now by mobile compared to PC gaming and console, and if you were to look at the players in that, right from publishers to creators of games to devices that come in to everybody else, the esport players that come in, all of that as an ecosystem is what India is going to be defining over the next several years, right? And I think what will evolve from India definitely will be different from what has evolved in the rest of the world. At the same time, I think the levers of success for companies growing out of India will be driven by parameters that are very global, right? Many gaming companies, because there was a reference to that, use the large base of Indian gamers, and the deep monetization of the West to create what they believe are valuable businesses, right? And what the world also has started to recognize. So I think that will stay, right? And how will some of those plays evolve, especially when it comes to India and Indian companies from here, looking at creating large businesses in this space, which are globally competitive. I think some of these parameters will, definitely continue to play out. What's happening in India, the way I see it, is that there is a bucket of casual gamers, which then moves to mid-core and then moves to core or professional gamers. And in that, we build the whole area of esports. So it's like a funnel, you look at it as a journey, right? And you look at this across different genres, right? You look at it through different interests that people would have. And you can then dissect the pie and see really where is it that, one wants to play. So as Jet Synthesis, we decided we are going to play in that 360-degree ecosystem, right? We want to be part of that gamer journey throughout. We want to be involved, in different ways. And I think that's where also, to Manish's earlier point, when it comes to marketeers and others, how do they view, all of this? And I think they're all different buckets. So in a casual gamer, you're really, reaching out to large number of people pretty much traditionally as you would reach out on any other digital platform. But when it comes to esports, right, we're really looking at something like a sporting activity. It's a spectator sport. It gets a lot of people who are just viewers. And the brand, what opportunity there is extremely different, or the value proposition is very different from what it would be when you're serving a casual gamer. So I think there is a great need, and I'm glad, Anil, that you are doing these kind of conversations for people to understand the space better, for all of us to connect, all of us to understand where India will directionally move. As a matter of fact, we have the ability to shape that movement together in some form. But at the same time, I strongly believe that there will be an integration of India into the rest of the world when it comes to the to the area of gaming. Statistically or number-wise, we are sub 1 billion, whatever way you look at it, in a global industry of 150 billion. So the only way for us to move from here is to grow rapidly, right? What will be the shape? What will be the form? What will 5G do to India? We've looked at it very deeply. How will it remove latency? How will it bring in a lot more AR, VR experiences, mixed reality? Gaming and competitiveness is inherent to every human being, right? I mean, right from your kindergarten, people are competing to kind of, come first in class. And we create that culture of competitiveness, which I think gaming very, very well represents. That's what keeps people engaged. So we are very bullish that, over the next 5 to 10 years, this is one industry that will play center stage in India. How does it take that shape? How are we able to work on that together is something, that we need to continue to deliberate, discuss. Even I'm the president of the Indian Digital Gaming Society, and we working closely with government, and we realize there is a lot of, there are a lot of gaps in the understanding, right? Right from gaming is not good, because parents don't like kids to play, it's a distraction, to now gaming is a great way to de-stress, in a COVID period, right? Mixed reactions.
No, forget about de-stressing. You also have Roblox in the US. You also have Roblox, which is an educational tool.
Absolutely. There's educational tools. There are multiple ways, Anil, that one can look at gaming and gamification, playing a key role. So I'll stop here, but happy to discuss further.
So I'll go on to Amit. Amit, you've been like trudging a lonely trail from 2006, very early mover. What's your perspective? Amit, are you there? Or have we lost you?
Amit, you're on mute.
Amit.
Thanks, Manish. Hey, thanks, Anil. First of all, thanks for hosting the conference, and great to connect, Manish, Rajan, and Rajiv. I like the new look of Manish here. That looks pretty cool. And the benefit of being on the Zoom to see everybody. No, I think we've been definitely one of the early movers in this space, and we have looked at both online and mobile, as well as the console. We looked at pretty much the whole facet of it. Manish was part of the journey with us for a long time and leading that in there. I think the biggest component is we've been if you look at an industry, everybody's been talking that the Indian gaming market is growing for such a long time. I mean, I'm especially sitting outside and talking to the global partners, and we get compared to China a lot, right? I mean, everybody talks about that. Hey, how come India is not growing or doesn't make as much money as China does, or what the growth? Why is it not as much as what we expect it to be? Why is it always the next year we're going to see the growth, or why is it? There's so many questions which come in. The challenge, I think, is what, to some extent, what Manish said or what Rajiv said and what Rajan said. It's a combination of bunch of things here. So the brands which are, if we look at the traditional ad revenue which comes in for a mid-core or a core or a traditional mobile game, I'm not talking about real money gaming, and I'm not talking about the esports per se. But if you look at a traditional gaming money, they make money two ways. One is in-apps, or the second is advertisements. In the in-apps, revenue is very, very limited in India. It's growing, but it's still very limited. But if you look at the ads, majority of the revenue in the ads is made throughout the world through the gaming companies advertising and trying to get the downloads. It is not the case in India. I mean, you can get, most of the advertisements are being driven by, by the brands or by small, small industries which are driving it. It's not the main
Is that
industry which is
programmatic, right?
driving.
It's primarily programmatic.
It's program. I'm actually going into a little bit more of who's putting in money on BM, who's buying the programmatic ads as well. I mean, it's not the traditional players who spend money on mobile games around the world. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, you could get eCPMs of $100, $150 sitting in the US or even sitting in the China, but you cannot even imagine $1 eCPM on an average in India. And that's struggling, right? Because people don't understand the true value of what the gaming community is bringing to them, right? I mean, the advertisers would bringing and partner with companies like Nazara. They've done multiple campaigns with their Chota Beam and the other games. They've done in-game branding. We have done stuff with our Little Singham games and stuff. But in the sponsorship or in-game integrations and stuff. But it's not, it's a struggle talking to the brands because they don't really understand who, what, and why they're going after the this audience. And I think that's a big learning aspect, both from our side to communicate to the industry of what we bring, and also, as Manish was rightly saying, a little bit of understanding from the brands that this is a very targeted market which they can go after.
I get that.
Esports
I get that. I wanted your perspective on where do you, since you've been an early mover, where do you see us? I mean, if you look at the OTT ecosystem, it began with some, Netflix launching. You had some digital streaming companies coming in and original content. Then you had you had Ditto TV. Z was experimenting with Ditto TV. They didn't know how to do it well. You had Hotstar, which was also trying to do it. They had several versions. And finally, when Netflix started doing content, we started seeing some subscribers. We had a lot more original content coming locally. When they started doing local content, you had a lot more subscribers. When the Indian OTT platforms have gone into creating content, the entire segment has exploded almost. So, where do you see ourselves? I mean, the entire gaming ecosystem and as well as esports.
So I think so. There are two things. Both gaming and esports are still a little bit connected, right? I mean, we are actually growing quite significantly in Indian market. I mean, if you see a lot more smaller studios and smaller indie developers are coming in, which is actually a good source of new ideas coming into the market. That's one big factor which I've seen change in last 12 months, which had never happened in India in last ecosystem 10 years, 12 years. Second thing is, I think all of us are starting to understand that we have to build good quality games. If we don't build good quality games, people are not going to play. They will play international games. Most of us sitting in India were doing a crappy work, which was not competitive to other games, right? If you look at the top 20 games, even still on the Google Play Store, they are mostly international brands, barring what you mentioned, Ludo King or the Caroms of the world. But traditionally, these are global games, and people are playing them, right? I mean, that's what we need to build the game, which is compelling, engaging, and retain the pleasers and provide the users fun. And once you have that you can take the same games for esports, right? I mean, why do people play PUBG or why do people play COD? Because those are good, games which provide fun, engagement, and the social competitiveness. So if you provide that, if you meet those standards, you'll get that. And I think all of us are finally starting to understand that we can't do crappy work and be competitive in Indian market because consumers are smart. They play global games. They're not just playing only what is in India, and they're not only playing what we are building for them. They have access to anything and everything from the other parts of the world, and that ecosystem is good. Eventually will grow.
Okay, Manish, in terms of Rajiv said that we haven't seen too many IPOs or capital raises happening in this sector. You guys have been trying to get there for a while now. What's holding back the investment community, you think?
If you look at it, there are two parts of it. One is the private money, and then is access to public markets.
Sure.
Right. I think the private money India hasn't seen this much amount of private money chasing gaming companies as we have seen in last 8-9 months, right? If you kind of stretch it a little back and take it to a Dream 11, then you have seen enormous amount of private money going into Dream 11. But what to me is a great indication is broad basing and breadth of the private money which has really happened. Whether it's MPL doing successive rounds or Windsor doing it, or many other gaming companies, or Rajan raising, or us raising, Dream 11 happening. I think private money is today, and especially after COVID, there is an immense amount of interest on global as well as local investors to come into gaming. The velocity of discussions, the frequency of discussions, and depth of discussions have increased immensely and enormously, as you kind of really look at. Now, from a public market point of view, right? There is a really important and backbreaking work of evangelizing gaming per se, which needs to be done, and that gets accentuated. The efforts gets accentuated when you are talking to somebody who is not a gaming consumer themselves, versus when you look at access to public markets, whether in a Nordic country or you're looking at an US country or in Hong Kong. They've seen, and the investors on the public market have made money on gaming. Most of them are gamers. It's much easier to explain to them the consumer psychology, underlying drivers, and what really grows. What is really going to happen is that one round of public market making money, investing in that will really take that off. And that is where it's a threshold, it's a tipping point, which will come in an Indian market and may happen very soon.
Yeah, but again, we also need to, as a gaming community, remove the stigma that gaming is bad. I don't know whether you have the Digital Gaming Association. Maybe we need to run campaigns. Maybe we need to work with the education companies
Anil,
and create games like Minecraft or like Roblox, which are used in the US for educational purposes.
No, so absolutely. If you look at the application of gaming, there are, if you just take a step back to what you said, gaming is bad. There are, I think, 4 constituencies or stakeholders. One is Rajiv and his community, which is domestic investors. Then there are foreign investors. There are consumers and parents, and then there is government. I think those are the 4 different constituencies we are looking at, right? Now, in form of the investors, the foreign investors, there is no need to really kind of educate there because they really understand the space. And a lot of that is, as I said, is rubbing off on the domestic investors. And I've seen that change in 2017 to 2020 as I'm speaking to them. I think the important constituency is the government, because the COVID has really done 3 things on the consumers. One, screen is inevitable because it's being used for education, right? So screen is inevitable in your house, and that is acceptable. Second, the family time or the friends time and playing games together has really kind of brought a lot of elders into gaming, which they were thinking gaming is not for us, it's only for kids. It's like the same classic problem India has about animation, cartoon movies are for kids, not for adults, right? So a lot of that gaming has happened into the family along with friends, family, parents, you're playing together. So that penetration and acceptance of gaming is happening there. And they're understanding the PUBG tournaments, they're understanding a Free Fire tournament, they're understanding little bit of appreciation is happening. I think the government constituency is where we need to really evangelize, create awareness, create an enabling framework policy, which is where Rajan is working. I'm working under FICCI, CII, IMAI to really interact with 6 ministries. Today, gaming intersects with 6 ministries. Can you believe it? So we need to, we need to really kind of talk to so many stakeholders within government to really get an uniformity.
Then you have state governments also.
And state governments also. So there is and we are a federal state, and gaming is a federal subject, right? So from that perspective, I think a lot of effort is happening, which you would start seeing over next, not just five years, in next 2 months, under leadership of few of us, like Rajan, myself, and others who are working and creating that policy frameworks and in deep discussion with government to really create that. But most importantly, I think, as Rajan rightly said, creating awareness among that what is good aspect of gaming and what could happen about it. Like esports is a classic case where India could technically win a gold medal in Olympics and an Asiad. How does really it creates athletes? For an athlete at a global level, you need to be physically and mentally fit. All that stuff is important and is needed. And that's the kind of awareness and evangelizing we are doing right now as we speak. So I think absolutely that amount of work is needed for us to create an enabling framework. And again, in the beginning, we mentioned that there is and Amit also alluded to it, there's a real money gaming and there's a non-real money gaming.
So the gambling guys are being mixed up often with the gambling guys. So that's a challenge you guys have to overcome in some way or the other.
So
I don't know how you're going to do it.
Yeah, so that's exactly where the confusion is. Like, used a word which a lot of us in the industry will kind of cringe at it, right? Now, gambling is pure lottery and casinos and all that stuff, which is not the case. Now, you're talking about game of skill. How does the game of skill is being defined? What is the process? What is executive, judicial, legislative process which could be put in place for the real money gaming, game of skill, all that stuff. But all I'm saying is we are a very young industry and we are very nascent. As Rajan said, we are sub-billion dollar or billion dollar around, and we all believe we are here from grow. So it's great that the conversations are happening at mainstream today about how to create a framework which will enable this unshackling of potential, which people like Amit and myself have been evangelizing on the global platform since a decade, and saying that the sleeping tiger will wake up one day. And I think now it's on a trot.
Yeah. Let's look at a parallel example. Bollywood. Bollywood has had its. I'm going to this is to the rest of the panelists also. Please get in here. So Bollywood has had its hits globally in terms of content which has been appreciated at various festivals, at various and in sport we've had a few winners, but in the gaming sector we've not had many standouts either in the area of content or in the area of performance. All we are offering is a good place for employment. India needs those youth to be employment and to be employed, and also to help them flower their creative skills. So that is a piece which is missing. Indian games, Indian success is missing to make it something that is interesting for government. One, apart from of course collecting taxes out of the prize money winnings and everything else. So that is an area which industry needs to work on.
Absolutely. I think building soft power, global IP, successful IP is needed. And gaming can really achieve that. What we lack is two things: experiment, freedom to fail. Gaming needs freedom to fail. It is a creative industry, and you need to have freedom to fail from a capital point of view. And second piece is we have abundant of talent in animation, engineering, and all of it. But real game design and thinking on that talent pool is supply side is very limited, and skilling, and then that whole creating an environment and enabling environment for freedom to fail, experiment is important in my opinion, and rest of it, the industry and young talent can make it happen.
Exactly. So
and just to add to that, Manish, just to add to that, I mean, I think we can build a lot of good games, but scalability of those games, because the world which we are playing in with the free to play, the scalability is a very different aspect which we are talking about. I mean, we have quite a bit of games, as part of Reliance Games. I mean, which are, which we've competed globally with the biggest players in the marketplace. In terms of quality, the content. I mean, if you look at it, I mean, our WBE games is actually one of the best games, and we compete with 2K and Scopely and Glues of the world, which are global game players. What we not been able to do is they're spending, in just the ability to be able to get the UA, they're coming in a very different perspective. They're spending $40-50 million in trying to go scale those games, while we're going after, in trying to look after the monetization aspect from either from an ROI perspective or coming in from a smaller scale. So it is a different world which we're talking about when we are competing with the global companies. You can compete on the quality, you can compete on the engagement, but I think we definitely, as Manish said, the biggest thing which is lacking in our country right now is the design capability or designers to be able to help us be competitive in the global market, because it's a nascent it's a nascent and a new new industry where people are still learning and evolving. We haven't grown up playing games from the day one. There are very few people. I mean, even when I'm interviewing, I mean, I'm saying, when did you start playing games? And the younger kids are starting to say that I started to play games when I was a kid. But when I look at it, I look at my kids. I mean, they've been playing games when they were 7, 8, right? I mean, it's a different world, which the people who've been born and brought up for 7, 8, or our team members who we have, they're 27 years old, 30 years old, but they've had an experience of playing games for 20 plus years, which is not the case in India yet. I mean, I think we still have to learn and evolve, and I think we need to partner with developers or game developers or game designers across the world to bridge that gap, and that's a hard gap to bridge between the cultures, between the countries, and between the time zones and countries.
But China has its own games which have become world hits.
But China has been playing games. The people who play games, they've been playing for much longer. I mean, I remember when I worked for Sun back in 2000, when we were doing Java, mobile Java, and I'm dating myself here. That time, there were PC games being done in China in 2000. So we talk about 20 years ago, they've been trying to do games. I mean, if you look at it, even 10 years ago, when we started to go back into the gaming world in China, people were talking about China was already very big at that point in time. We are not. We're still a very, very young industry. And I think there are a lot more. You actually alluded to when you originally said that, there is a cultural issue also, right? I mean, our parents still come back and tell us, hey, don't play games, right? I mean, that's not the case as much in the Western world or China specifically. People play games for, significantly for their professional. Esports was a lot bigger before even it was called esports in China.
I get it. So what's the way forward, Rajiv? What would you advise these guys?
I think, what happened with the telecom industry with Jio could be the first thing which we see with the gaming industry in India. That is, one or two companies, they get a critical mass of subscribers who are giving you $1 to $2 ARPU monthly. So investors love the consumer theme in India always. That's been a theme which has been there for the last 25 years, and it will be there for the next 25 years. And gaming industry very well fits with that theme. And if somebody can have even for 50, 100 million sticky subscribers with $1 to $2 monthly ARPUs, it could be the starting point for us to get that scale, public money, private money, global eyeballs coming in, that, okay, there is something because global investors love size with scale. So once that is established, and then there is a factor that, okay, there is not enough money going in retaining those subscribers, because at the end of the day, that subscriber is competing with these social media, the OTT, and various other things in life. So even if you are a 30-40% EBITDA margin, low capex, it could get 2 times the valuation a growing telco would get or a growing media company would get. So I think that's the first way forward, that if some, one or two players out of the various players which is today, and the industry looks very fragmented, could scale up to that height and create that kind of value. That itself will be a great starting point.
So do you see it in the area of IP, or do you see it in the area of platform, or do you see it in the area of aggregation? Where do you see it?
I believe it has to be in the area of platform, because there the ability to experiment and there the ability to be agile is quite more. If you just stick to one kind of game or couple of things or themes or genres, then it may be very tricky. So platform, it should be in the pecking order. Platform stands first.
Over to you guys.
No, I think what you were just saying, Rajiv, actually makes a lot of sense, and I think that the Indian industry is slowly getting to some of these areas, and but I want to also talk a little bit about what Manish and Amit were talking earlier when it came to particularly why are we not able to create these companies or this size and scale out of India. At the end of the day, whether it is creating a great product and failing multiple times, there's that great example of Rovio, which created a simple Angry Birds game on this 50-second attempt or something like that. So the cost of getting there, like any other creative industry, the cost of actually building a great game with great global talent, the cost of acquiring the right set of users with a large marketing budget actually requires a complete transformation in scale for the way this industry needs to be viewed to create any dent, globally, right? Because the rest of the world has already matured there. On China, I think in addition, payments, was a big booster, right? I think, people pay a lot easily because the whole ecosystem was derived in a manner which enabled in-app purchases and things like that, which again, culturally, India is not used to paying. I mean, I know so many very, very well-to-do people who the moment you ask them to pay for something to grow up, they will just say, even if it's like 20 rupees or 30 rupees, principally, there is that. But that's also, rapidly changing. And I think, the forms in which I still remember when we, brought the first PC gaming platform to India, and, kids don't get money to, spend, on enhancing different capabilities, on that platform. Literally you have to send them home voucher cards where they'll scratch out, and buy that card out of cash money for 400 rupees. It costs $50 to deliver it. But India needs all those innovative ways in which people can get to actually spending on the platform. And once that happens, to what Rajiv said, and you're able to establish both scale and a realizable ARPU that has a reasonable ROI on investment, I think the whole thing will flip, right? And I think like what Manish said and what Amit says, we also, we've come from Thailand as a business group, right? Right from in the 60s and 70s, and we always said, this is the decade for India. This is the decade for India, right? And I think at least from a gaming and technology, I mean, in this side, I think this is definitely the decade. It's very visible. And if we don't get past in this next few years, maybe international titles will continue to rule India. We might not be able to create, opportunities that are as large and as global, but nothing will take away the fact that India will always be the largest market. It's about, who goes and gets it is the key question.
No, I have an observation here. See, I see children spending a lot more online these days. Children as well, between 13 to 15, 17, they're having a lot more dispensable incomes. They have Paytm on their phones. They have different kinds of payment gateways. So the propensity to pay is is much higher than it was earlier, even in game. If you have to do some purchases in games, so that's one thing we have to have cognizance to. Rich people, middle class people, they are all spending a lot more. Consumption on payments on online have gone up drastically, not just for essentials, but even for luxury and entertainment. That's a reality. Let's not discuss that the purchasing power is there. So what is needed is probably dovetailing with one of the things which I'm pushing aggressively is dovetailing education and gaming. So it gets a lot more, it's looked at in a better way, making sure it's part of the curriculum, which we haven't been doing so far.
So Anil, 2 points I want to come in here. One is, you mentioned about China. Just want to cover some. The per capita income has a direct causality to the in-app purchase growth. And if you track the per capita income growth of last decade of China to the in-app purchase growth, you will see a very direct correlation there. And if you see where India stands on per capita income, we are around 2010, 2011 on that perspective. If you look at the internet penetration and the penetration of gaming from that perspective, we are again 7-8 years behind from that perspective, right? In China also has a habit of 40 years of MMORPG in-app purchases. If you look at a Chinese game, it has 50 variables which person can really do that, and the screen is completely looks like a Bloomberg terminal, right? And they are used to having that kind of micro transaction at a micro levels. And while India looks at West from a gaming consumption point of view, few parameters and few nuances to tackle. So if you were to look at from a revenue perspective, we are exactly where 2011-12 China was. And Amit and I have been looking at China Joy, and in our previous jobs when we were together, looking at how the China growth happened and all that stuff. So I believe that as the per capita income increases, as you mentioned and alluded to, a middle class and their discretionary spends and all that stuff is increasing. Plus, one big change which is happening in gaming in India is it is not spends, and anywhere in the world, when the spends move from competitive to just community. Like it is a social hangout. I'm spending money just for a t-shirt of my avatar in the game. The true behavior for in-app purchase starts happening. And it is not just pay to win, but it is just to kind of be a peer pressure or collaborative or just kind of social hanging. That's what has started happening in India in games like PUBG and all of it, which means that behavior of in-app purchase is now setting in at least to that 50 million, 40 million people base in a very deep entrenched manner.
Sure.
And that has was 20 million 2 years back is moved to around 50, 60 and will keep growing. So which is what this is really going to happen. And Rajiv, to your point, you mentioned platform play. That is where the difference in gaming versus video is. If you look at worldwide, it's not the gaming platforms, it's the games which make money. It's Minecraft, it's Roblox, or it is the whole Zynga games individually or EA games, right? A lot of attempts to create Stadia or a lot of attempts to create, they've only worked in an OEM. When it's locked to an OEM, it's an app store, a gaming arcade, Google Play, locked to an Android phone, right? Versus an OTT play where it's a lot of original content somebody started doing and creating it. Amazon is buying game studios left, right, center to create captive gamings and then create it on a platform. So it's a lot more difficult because in gaming, unlike OTT content, you play fewer games, but you keep playing forever. So you must be playing a Counter-Strike Go in your university days, and you will continue to play over first three jobs. It's not that you leave that because it's your social hangout with your friends. It's your relief with your friends. So that's why gaming and video is a bit different. And that's again understanding the nuance whether a platform will win or a content will win it's a debate. It's a jury is still out on that.
And I think that Manish, you're absolutely right. I mean, if you look at what's happening with Apple Arcade, that's exactly they're writing $100+ million checks in there. Same thing with Google Play, Google Pass, which they've launched. They're exactly doing the same. Similar to the Microsoft, Pass, which they have. They're buying the studios and the game and trying to bring them exclusively into that, into the Pass. So they are trying to the platform and the content together is going to continue driving the engagement and will drive the the user base there as well. And and that's the biggest factor which we need to be able to be able to do that for India, because I mean I think we don't have the the past the ability to be able to bring multiple games which people will engage with, which are say, hey, which are proudly be able to say that this is Indian, right? I mean, Counter Strike or COD or even PUBG, right? I mean, PUBG is such a big phenomena in India to a certain extent, but there are a lot more people. I was talking to the guys there, and there are a lot more people who feel that they want to lead the leaderboards with as a hacker than actually a spender, right? I mean, we feel that in our games which are multiplayer or which are socially competitive, there are we have games which have forums which are dedicated purely to hacking in India, which is not we don't see that anywhere else in the world, not even in China. I don't have China players creating forums just to be able to figure out how to hack into the game to be able to be ahead of the social competitiveness. I mean, they're not spending money purely just to on the avatars or the social angle beyond just being able to get the in-app purchases to progress in the game. And I think both of these things have to come together, as to a certain extent Manish mentioned.
Yeah, so I'm going to move on to another point actually. If you look at, Ludo King is not essentially a game we want to really, gamers would, but there are hundreds of millions who got onto it. So it's a casual game, easily made, has worked well during this pandemic, has, even 70-year-olds have played it. So what lessons can we learn from that? Going on to really cool games rather than hyper casual games.
I think my simple hypothesis for India casual gamers, which is 300 million and which continue to grow to 500 million, is the Indian users are absolutely have super attention deficiency syndrome. Anything which they are coming here for instant entertainment, and anything which makes them learn a new technique, new mechanics, they will not do it. So the best thing to kind of really induce them and adopt them into an online gaming is change the from a physical format which they are used to, they are born and brought up on, make them the convenience of playing it on your mobile, and add an element of really hanging out with your friends, family, and acquaintances, which can become friends. And that's what is the my understanding of this market is that you need to really give them something which they can pick up and play, and they really kind of get in first 10 seconds 30 seconds they know how to get into the game and they play it. So I think that's where you see massive adoption Ludo. To your point, there are hundreds of Ludo games, but there is only one Ludo King. So it requires amazing amount of underlying tech and capability and maybe some amount of luck to really become a star among even a game which from an outside looked as easy is to make Ludo, right? Which is where lots of game development studios have tried to make a Ludo game, launch it there, be there, but Ludo King has 50 million DAUs and other maybe having best 2, 3, 4 million DAUs at max. So I think that is how the gaming is, that it really is brutal and it is ruthless from a game developer point of view. And it's not that everybody can just go and make a Ludo game. Yes, from an intuitive point of view, you're right. But to get it hit and kind of virality which Ludo King got even in 4 years back, 5 years back is amazing.
So great. I've got questions coming from the audience. And this is addressed to you. This is an anonymous attendee who's been constantly posing question. I wish she would identify herself. What are your thoughts about streamers like Ankit Pant trying to create content and communication to educate parents as well as gamers by setting good example of him being health conscious and mature?
I think we need more of them here.
That was a no-brainer.
Yeah. So I'm saying there are many such guys who have an ardent fan following and who could really be roped in. And that's where I think the lot of brand marketing support can also come into them, because monetizing streaming on YouTube is very difficult and it's really low eCPMs. And some of the support of the streamers, if the brands like Vineet and team and everybody could really evangelize them to as the Instagram influencers are there and TikTok influencers they are gaming influencers, and if we could really take that as a category of gaming influencers and have brands interacting with them, all these guys would really have a very strong career path to really look up to.
Great. So there's another.
We actually work, I'll just chime in a little bit here. We work actually with a lot of influencers with our games, where we are trying, especially with, which we're trying to get the global games. There have been some do's and don'ts, which we have really, helped some of the Indian influencers come in, because we are, they're basically, when they're building content, they're not looking at understanding who they're building it for. When they're building the stream, they're, sometimes they are it's very local language, and India being so diverse, if you're talking in one language, the people might not be able to understand what it is. Or if you speak too fast, or if you use the abusive languages, you cut off. I think there are so many things which we have worked with. I've worked with, with about 10 plus streamers, which we've given them feedback and actually helped them grow globally by giving them pre-access to our games, giving them access to the content so that they can, get there faster. And I think it's our, responsibility as the gaming companies and game developers to be able to encourage the, the influencers and content creators to be able to help us in the market, because for us, we see that as a one big marketing tool and engagement tool for our players. Because if you're building a new feature, if you're building something new, bringing the game, coming out from an influencer or third party is always much better than us just creating our video and pushing it onto our own channels in there.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thanks for that. So now, broadly, what I've understood from this conversation is, one, we need to get the regulatory framework in place for this ecosystem. That's one thing which the industry has to work on, and it'll come out in the next couple of months, possibly. Some of the efforts will start bearing fruit. Secondly, we need to generate work on getting IP. I think Rajan has been investing in a lot of companies he just invested in a company 3 days ago, or announced that he was investing in a company which has cricket. We are not moving beyond cricket, really. So maybe cricket is going to be the future for India, which could be a global game. I don't know what that's going to be, because we don't. So that's work on creating global IP. Thirdly, work closely with the community to start investing in companies, maybe have a breakout like Rajiv said, and have the financial community, the marketing community start to invest in it. At the same time, create awareness amongst India's middle class that gaming is cool. It's not something that's going to be, harming your child's life going forward. So if I've got it correctly, am I right in broadly what the industry is going to look forward to, or is there something I've missed out?
I think I'll add skilling to it.
Skilling, okay. So, but do we have enough education institutions? Are they?
No, so
really?
Skilling can be multiple ways. For example, if you could make India a great place for global publishers to operate from India, they will hire local people, they will train them. Like if you see, most of the successful gaming companies in the last 4 years have come out as startups from Zynga. So it's a Zynga mafia, as we call it. So a lot of great product managers, designers who stepped out, formed their own companies and have been very successful. Now, because there was no university, there is no determined structure, curriculum, pedagogy. It's on the job, and they went through the training. They understood their raw material was always there. It got shaped, and then it led to an entrepreneurship. So more such establishments in India. Why would they come in? How will they establish? What's their advantage? That's all we need to think and discuss with government. But if you are able to make India a really attractive destination for global publishers, stroke developers. Local ecosystem development will happen, and it will generate a lot of trainers, which can eventually train other guys.
Okay. So actually, we've run over time, but I'd like you all to all have a last word, including each one of you all, in order, beginning with Rajiv.
Yeah, I believe that we are here for wonderful times. The entire ecosystem seems to be falling in place. It is just that we need to have enough scale for us to achieve higher aspiration in this segment.
Yeah, Rajan.
So, no, thanks, Anil. It's been a great conversation. I think shaping the industry and seeing how we can all play a key role in that is great. I think one point that we missed out, or maybe I think I can emphasize as we close, is that the Indian gamer community, is going to be different from what the rest of the world has seen. It's multiple cultural influences and many things, and I think it is our job as an industry to invest in the player community, to engage with them, to kind of build those experiences that will enable them, to also become key components or key players in the shaping of this industry. So, Manish said 300 million. I think that is also an extended community which needs to engage with all of us who are developing games and actually building out this ecosystem. So, but great, thanks for having us here.
Amit.
And if I was to summarize, if I was to look, it's obviously been a great session here. I would, we talked about it for the longest time in our internal culture, and we say think local and act global. That's the most important aspect of growth for all the companies, not only for India, but for if any company has aspirations to not only grow in India but grow in globally also, we have to leverage our strengths, and then bring in the strengths, what we need to bring from a global perspective, and leverage what is working and what is not, and grow from there. But to add to the point what Rajan mentioned a little while ago, I think this is definitely the decade. This is where we're going to see the growth, and the growth is happening quarter over quarters, year over year. It's not 5 years away. It's not 10 years away. We are going to see the market and to grow to an extent of what we've been hoping for, and what we not even imagine where we would be in next 5 years.
Thanks. And Manish, finally, that's your last word.
We are bigger than Bollywood already. So let's get over Bollywood syndrome, we get over China syndrome. We are here to write this decade belongs to Indian gaming.
Fantastic. With those last words, thank you to each one of you all. I think it's been an interesting session for me, and Animation Express and Indian television is always there with the community, with the leaders of the community to help propagate the message in whatever way we can, in every way that we can. And GEMS is a part of that initiative to, actually close to about 30,000 people have been viewing GEMS since yesterday. So that's a great way of evangelizing the ecosystem as well. Thank you for being a part of this, all of y'all, and have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks, Anil.
Thank you, Anil, for hosting this. I appreciate that. All right, thank you, everybody. Thanks, Manish, Rajiv, and Rajan. All right.
Thank you all for such an insightful discussion. And now we move on to a virtual fireside chat with Mr. Debashish Kayal, co-founder and CEO of Cape Titans Games, in conversation with Mr. Anil Vanwari. I welcome you, Mr. Kayal, and over to you, Mr. Vanwari.
Yeah.
Oh, give me a second. Debashish, are you there? I don't see you. I see a lot.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you see me?
No, one second. I'll have to scroll down. That's a limitation of Zoom. Hi. Okay. Would love to have you lit better so we could see your face better.
Yeah.
But we are as we are. So tell me, how are you today? And you heard the conversation. Your insights on this?
Yeah, I was from morning and I was listening to those leaders in game industry. I worked closely with Manish, Rajan before in my career. So yeah, it was a very nice discussion on gaming ecosystem and boosting the Indian culture, local for vocal, all these things. And we also came up with the same tagline, from India for the world. So yeah, I guess we are on the same page.
Fantastic. And what have you thought of GEMS so far?
Yeah, James, I couldn't found time to participate yesterday, but since morning I am here, and it's great thing. Like people are participating and people are questioning about their doubts, And it's a great initiative. And also thanks for having us in the conversation so that we can showcase our product, our philosophy, our mission statement, and all these things.
Thank you for partnering with us, Debashish. Yeah. So what is Cape Titan Games all about? Can you tell us a little more?
Yes, thank you. So Cape Titan Games is not just another game publishing platform, or we are not going to develop any game in-house, but rather a game incubation center for talented game designers, developer, artists, logical thinkers, to grow them and mentor them to become the indiepreneur for themselves. Like they can create their own game, they can market it, they can fund it, and we are here to support and grow them. So that's the mission about Cape Titans Games. It's a complete incubation center with all kinds of support, marketing support, and we already working with multiple indie developers, student projects, small studios, and thankfully we got 2 games yesterday. I want to showcase them in your event. That's it about Cape Titan Games.
Great. Do you want to showcase them now or later?
Later in the presentation.
Fantastic. Nice to hear that you got 2 games on your board. So being the founder CEO, what is the difference you want to create in the gaming world?
So before the Cape Titans happened, I have experience on the other side. Like I was a aspiring game creator, game consultant, and also as a game curator, educator, I found that there is a gap between product development and selling that product in the market. Even panelist in the previous discussion was discussing about the same thing. We need some ecosystem where people can showcase their product and they can relax. Means they can only concentrate on the development part. So we are here for the strategic partnership, promoting their game, funding, give them business insights and all these things. Because these, as game development requires so many techniques and talents and artwork, marketing and promoting also has similar thing. Like we cannot just share on social network and spend money and game can get us users. That's not the case, right? So we can bring that same strategic promotion for the developers. Also, one of my co-founder, Mr. Surya, already had a decade experience in developing talented game designers, artists, and developers. He has a premier institute in Pune, Hyderabad, and Bangalore location. So we know what the requirement for game development or game development in general. But yeah, we lack that. Means we need to fill that gap between making a good product and setting it for the global audience. So we are here to make that bridge between 2 points.
So you're basically looking at yourself as a platform, and why
Yes.
indie game companies and developers should be interested in you. What experience or new model do you bring to the table also?
Okay, so look, we are going to create a very straightforward model. Like we came up with this philosophy called ID3R. We are also promoting this concept ID3R. What are the 5 steps? So even in game development, we follow a core loop. Like the same thing player need to follow for again, and again. So if we can make a similar, very easy loop where developers, designers can fall into, it stands for I for idea, D for develop and design, R for release, then R for revenue, and R for relax to go for a new game. So that brings ID3R concept. If once you develop one game, you don't need to worry about how to promote, how to sell, or how can we make money for the next game. So from any stage, it can be ideation stage, it can be development stage, it can be finished product. We have support program for all these stages. For eligible product, eligible person, good profile, we are here to support for anything, like only the marketing thing, supporting with artwork, supporting with development techniques, anywhere, anytime, we can support.
So what's the model like, finally?
Model is...
The business model.
Business model is, you have an idea, design that. If you need some help from us in designing, developing that thing, we can support you. Once you have the product, with our very easy and straightforward selection process, we can select that. With the proper revenue sharing model or upfront payment or support system, we can release that, and then developer can concentrate on future updates or the next game. That's the easy model we can have.
Fantastic. So how do you picture Cape Titans in a year's time?
So look, we are very new, means this concept started in early February this year, and due to this lockdown, we couldn't manage the registration and all these things, but we started in officially in June. So we are pretty new, but new doesn't mean we are new to the game industry. Me as a game developer, designer, worked for several years for different companies, different clients. Also, Mr. Surya has a decade-long experience in creating developers. We can see a place where more and more indie developers can come to us and they can showcase their product. Then we can work with them closely. We can create a development system that can autopilot their project. Autopilot means they can set it with us and they can relax. They don't need to think about what will happen to their game. We have a strategic team to make sure that their games can compete with the competitors, the bigger giants, even Indian content or for the rest of the world. So we will make sure from the money perspective or from the strategic perspective or from the promotion perspective, they will be competitive to any other game in the world. So that's the model we will see in next 1 year or so.
Thank you very much. You have a presentation to show us, I believe.
Yeah, I already shared. So if you can share that thing, yeah, thank you. Yeah. So okay, that's it. Cape Titans Games it's a launchpad for indie game developers, students, hobbyists, and newly grown game studios. Educational partner, we have Backstage Pass Institute of Gaming and Technology. They are premier gaming institute for last 10 years. Please go to the next slide. Okay, so as I said, it's not the previous one. Okay, yeah. So Cape Titan Games is a premium publishing platform where we want to uplift the heroes of game development to be the titans of game dome. So our mission is pretty straightforward: create game creators for the future who can contribute to the gaming community. And we have a slogan from India for the world. Yes, we are also supporting vocal for local thing. We will make sure that no indie developer from India uh, will not get proper space. If they struggle to get a space in the gaming world, we will provide them the space to flourish their product. Yeah, next please. Cape Titans is not just another game publishing, as I already said. It's a gaming incubation center for talented game designers, developers, and indie companies. We will promote them from technical and business mentoring perspective, store promotion, and even funding them for their product. Cape Titans Games is there for a launchpad for those who need to make it happen just till the store, but it's the revenue to happen from strategic promotion, like from seeding the game to flourishing the product in the store. Next, please. We have this model, ID3R, I for idea, D for development and design, R for release, and then R for revenue, and finally put the game in autopilot. We call it R for relax. So we are inviting all gaming students, indie artists, developers to get associated with us at any stage where they stuck or just need a push. It can be idea phase, it can be development phase, it can be a release ready game, just they need a promotion. In any stage, we can support them. Next, please. Yeah, our dream is to evolve as a repeatable gaming incubation model in Indian game creators to groom eligible projects after easy evolution process. So we have a very strong internal team with game developers, designers, product managers. We we can accelerate the selection process with very standard KPIs, directly communicating with developers and designers. Our real USP lies in the fact that we don't just invest on promising games, but our approach is human centric, as we want to partner real talents who can prove given the adequate support and handholding. To go by the prediction for the booming game industry, as most of the gaming veteran and industry professionals are saying, India can be the next big gaming can be the next big thing in India, and we have the solid knowledge of foundation in our partner with Backstage Pass Gaming and Technology. So we are here to support in every stage.
Thank you. That's very interesting.
We have two more, I guess.
Yeah. You have another slide? Great.
Yeah. So thankfully, we got two new games on early access. One is Chakras, Path to Nirvana, and another one is Trip. This developed by a student during this lockdown period. You can access them on Android store, and we will soon launch on iOS. And the last one. Yeah, so we are promoting this ID3R concept, and also we are organizing one ID3R challenge on social network. All you need to do, you can search with hashtag ID3R challenge, and you can create the most innovative poster or message, and you can share on social media. We have already declared the winning money, and also with the eligible candidate, we can have a professional 1-year contract to be the brand boy or brand guy for the Cape Titan games. So that is we are promoting right now. Even you can see in my backdrop, I have put the same thing just to communicate the idea. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So guys, it's been wonderful chatting with you, and to see somebody as passionate about building the indie game community as you, in whatever way you can. And I hope the industry will respond as well as you're seeking to help them. And hopefully a lot of entries you get for your competition that you're having for the design part. Thank you very much, Debashis. Any last words before I, call this a close?
Yeah, so all I need to say to all the attendees and whoever is watching, even I said similar thing to my students. The only way to take part in the gaming industry, you just make games. Just by discussing over it or playing, you cannot be part of gaming community, or you cannot serve. So whatever your skill set or whatever things you have, make some games, contribute to the community at anything you can take. And we are here to support you if you have a nice idea, or we can sell it for the global audience. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Debashis, and thank you to the audience for being here. And thank you for, probably this is the last time you'll be seeing me, unless they call me for a closing remarks or something. But it's been wonderful being with you all and sharing with you all the prospects for the industry and how the industry can work together to take it to the next level. I thought the previous panel was pretty interesting, and as well as the panel with all the leaders from the industry. Let's hope everything works out well, and each of us has a successful time ahead in this ecosystem, whether it's as gamers, developers, whether it's as people like us who are observers, or whether it's investors, whether it's marketeers. We all grow this entire ecosystem, whether it's as employees, or as game designers, game developers, or as aggregators, whatever, wherever we are. Let's have a great time and let's build this. And until we meet again, thank you for being a part of this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Priyanka.
Thank you, Mr. Kayal and Mr. Vanwadi, for this wonderful dialogue. I would request Mr. Kayal to stay back, and we move on to the next and final segment for the day. I would like to introduce our esteemed set of panelists. Mr. Avichal Singh, co-founder and game designer, Nodding Head Games. Mr. Chirag Chopra, founder, Lucid Labs. Mr. Himanshu Manwani, co-founder, Zigma Games. Mr. Vaibhav Chavan, CEO and founder, Underdogs Gaming Studio. Mr. Zainuddin Fahad, Chief Executive Officer, Ogre Head Studios. And this session will be moderated by Mr. Rishi Oberoi, founder and CEO, Photon Tadpole Studios. I welcome you all, and over to you, Mr. Oberoi.
Hello. Hey guys, is everyone's video on? I can't see it.
Well, I can see myself, so I guess it's okay.
Yeah, hi Avichal, how are you?
Hey, hi.
Hey everyone.
It's good to
Hey everyone.
see
Hi.
these faces.
Hi guys, hi.
Hi
Oh,
guys.
is everyone? Can everyone see me and hear me? I'm having some
Yeah.
internet problems apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can. I can.
Chirag, you got a haircut?
Yeah, the lockdown effect.
Or even Himanshu?
It's not
Only
a haircut.
my...
I just took a trimmer and removed all the hairs on my head.
Oh, I need one.
He's still promoting the game, huh?
All right, should we start? Who else is on? Do we have anyone from Animation Express? Should we start?
Yes, you can start.
Okay. It's a little complicated screen. There's a lot of people who are not attending as well as people who are attending. Okay. Hi, guys. Hi. Thanks for taking time for coming up for this. There's, of course, a lot of activity going on related to gaming and not related to gaming. Needless to say, 2020 has been a very, very strange year. It's not been an easy year. But in all this darkness, there are a few shimmers of light, and I would like actually point out some of this light which has been shone from you guys. So I would like to thank all of you for being here. I have had some experience with almost all of you in the past, so I have some idea of what you guys have been up to. But for the benefit of the audience, why don't you guys start by introducing yourself? I'm going to call you guys out in the order I can see you on my Zoom link, so you guys can introduce yourself accordingly. So Vaibhav, you want to start?
Yeah. Hello, people. My name is Vaibhav Chavan. I run a company called Underdogs. We've been in the industry for over 9 years now, making games for brands, digital agencies, and some movie production houses in B2B. And currently, we are exclusively working with one of the biggest publishers for hyper-casual games. Along with this, I just happen to create some educational content on YouTube.
Great. Thanks, Vaibhav. Being a little modest, but his YouTube content is really becoming very viral these days. Himanshu, you want to go next?
Yeah. So hello everyone. I'm part of an indie studio called Sigma Games. We develop premium multi-platform titles for the global market. In the past 5 years, we have released four games. All of them were globally featured on App Store and Google Play, and won multiple national and international awards. Some of them including Indie Game of the Year at IGDC and very big indie pitch a couple of times. The Bonfire series that we have is our own homemade, is our most successful IP. And we recently launched the Bonfire 2 on iOS and Steam, and it became one of our most successful game till now. Yeah.
Thanks, Himanshu. Yeah, your Bonfire series does seem to be coming up with new content all the time. It's going to become like its own universe, I think. Chirag, you want to introduce yourself next?
Yeah, hello everyone. I am Chirag Chopra and I represent a tiny indie studio called Lucid Labs. We are an all remote team in the industry for the last 6 years, and our latest game, Possessions, is live on Apple Arcade, which has again won a couple of awards both nationally and internationally. And we are also fortunate enough to be a part of Google Accelerator program.
Great. Yeah, I think we have a couple of people here who have been part of the Google Accelerator program. Avichal, the latest in the new Indian indie games that have been launched very successfully. You guys want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Avichal, co-founder, game designer, project manager at Nodding Heads Games. We recently released our debut title, which is called Raji, an Ancient Epic. And it released on Nintendo Switch, and in just about a week's time, it's launching on PC, Xbox, and PS4. And yeah, we have won a few awards: Mix, Best of Game, and Dev Play, Best Design, Best Art, Best Visuals. And it's great to see the community support a game like us. That's all.
it's a really good looking game, and it's really a fun game to play. If any of your attendees have not tried it, you should definitely buy it. If you guys have a Switch, obviously it's the first that's the first platform you can experience it in, but Avichal assures us that is coming on the other platforms as well.
Yeah. Thank you.
Devasis, you just finished your session, but you want to just redo your introduction?
Yes. Hi, this is Devasis Koyal from Cape Titan Games. It's a newly formed game publishing hub for indie and student games. Before that, I used to work as a game designer in different companies. Also, I work as a guest mentor in Backstage Pass Institute of Gaming and Technology for game designing and game consultancy. And yeah, nice to be here, and hope we like to promote a few games that we already got 2 days back. It's one indie studio and one student's game we got recently on Android store, and iOS games will soon follow.
Great, look forward to all those games. And last but not least, Zain, who's already been quite a prominent fixture in the Indian indie development community and the king of indie game marketing in India. Zain, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi guys, my name is Zainuddin Fahad. I'm the founder of Ogre Studio, an indie game company based here in Hyderabad, India. We made a game called Asura. It's a roguelike hack and slash RPG inspired by Indian mythology. It was released in 2017. You can find it on Steam. Currently, we are working on a new game called Yotha. It's an Indian turn-based role-playing game that we are currently working on. That's about it.
Cool. And quickly, I'd like to introduce myself as well. My name is Rishi Oberoi. I head a company called Photon Tadpole Studios. I used to run the production team at India Games for about 10 years, and we sold the company off to Disney, and I ran the Disney Interactive team for about 3 years before starting off my studio. And our studio, of course, we're a small indie studio as well. We concentrate on, we essentially building local Indian content for Indian games for the Indian audiences. But another passion of mine is creating content for kids and educational and kids games. So right now we're working on a very unique kids game, and we're hoping to launch that as well in hopefully a month or two time. Hopefully less than that. Let's see. All right. Let's dive in. I think we're already running late, but let's try to get through the questions as fast as we can. Of course, one of the reasons why we are doing this on Zoom is because of, well, one of the only reason why we're doing it on Zoom is because of the pandemic. So let's not ignore the elephant in the room. How has the pandemic affected you guys, especially the lockdown and working from home? And more importantly, how do you guys go about launching your games during this pandemic? I want to start with you guys, with you, Avichal, since you guys just launched Raji.
Oh yeah, so when the pandemic hit and the lockdown started, that's actually exactly when we had a hard deadline on a launch, and this is around Feb, and we knew we had to crunch and to meet a milestone and not let go of this opportunity, which was the indie game world, Nintendo's opportunity. What happened is, I think the most affected part of the development was consoles, because as we are porting everything in-house. Earlier, what used to happen is the team was in one room, the programming team and me and the animator, and our programmer Deepam, who is the main programmer to port to consoles. We used to turn my chair back and play the build and go like XYZ things need fixing, or I saw this issue, that issue, and it was quick. It was really quick. And when the lockdown happened, we didn't realize it. We realized it pretty much after the crunch ended and the launch, that how it made things slower for us. That I have to either message him on Slack, get on a call, schedule a call, figure out if the calendar is free. And even after that, there were a few weeks that we had to travel to his place with all precautions in place. I think around 18 kilometers from here. Not a very nice ride in monsoon. And we had to do that for 2 weeks at least to make sure the game is presentable and everything's optimized. So it definitely took a toll on the game's development, something you don't initially realize because you yourself have so much work individually, but you do realize it. I mean, we realized it soon after when we realized some things could have been faster, and if some things could have been better or even optimized better. So that's one of the big ways the lockdown affected us. And of course, you don't see your team anymore, so we did arrange weekly calls. We had to shift the way we were working or communicating. And because it was also a crunch, I think there was this like, put your head down and just get the work done. We had to go through that.
Right. And specifically, so I think all development and all game development, and especially tech, we've actually had it easier than some of the other industries. And we just assume, yeah, we're just going on making, doing development at home and just uploading to Git, managing on Zoom and other online software. But the trickier part, I'm assuming, would also come when you have to actually launch it with the marketing and the coordination with your publishers and things like that. Any specific learnings there? Any troubles, obstacles that you guys had to go through?
Well, for our publishers, we were already used to working remotely with them since the start. So there was nothing new about it, but they also had to now work remotely in their company. So that did affect their workplace, And I haven't personally asked them, but I can tell you the implications are there. And that is something the pandemic affected. Even teams across the world, they had to be in lockdown and they cannot meet. Communication is slower. Marketing team used to sit with the publishing team, and now they are in their homes. So coordination was slower. But I think that the fact that we knew how big of this opportunity is, it kept us going. And we just had to push really hard to make sure we meet every milestone every month and not miss out. We did have to make extra effort because of the pandemic that's there. Yeah.
Hello, I lost everyone.
Oh. Can you hear us?
I could hear you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Vishal, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Rishi, can you hear us? He's frozen. Yeah, he's back.
So the moderator is gone. We can do whatever we want now.
Can you guys hear me? I'm back. I can.
Yeah,
hear you.
we can hear you.
All right, great. Okay, and great. And Himanshu, I know you guys also already launched with Uncharted.
So yeah, we already launched.
Yeah.
We already launched on iOS and Steam. And I could totally get what Avichal is saying, because we face same issues of making builds and putting it out there, and on top of that, handling the QA at the same time was very critical for us. So it did affect us in ways that we didn't think of before. Like anything we did, it took us 2 days. Like for a simple task, it took us double the time just for a simple task that were far easier if we were in the same room. And like when we moved to the Skype calls and Zoom meetings and everything, everything became more slower, and it just added the challenges keep on like increasing as we progress, because we were at the end stage of releasing. At that time, we needed the most communication, and it just affected us in terms of the quality of the game that we released. And it did. We could have done a lot better if we were in the same room, sitting at the same place. So but at the end, it went well. We managed it by having weekly meetings and daily calls and everything, but still it did affect. And on top of that, electricity problems in India, internet issues in India are very, very unique, which only happens in India.
Absolutely.
So things like that added more to the challenge.
Right. And anything specific during launch with your publishers?
Our games, and don't have a publisher, and we self-publish our games. The problem we faced was in the basically in QA. The most trouble we had, we could have solved all those things if we were in the same room and sitting at one place, and our quality was a bit down. And we started off as a mostly negative on Steam. Our reviews were hit, but now it's balanced. We patched it up pretty quickly. Now it's again back to very positive, like in the recent reviews. But yeah, that did affect us. Yeah.
Great. So good to know that like everyone has managed to come about and even started to get games out and games launched. And I'm assuming both your guys' games are finding some kind of success.
Yeah, so we were featured by Apple globally with a banner feature and the first spot under New Games We Love, and US as being our top market, second being Japan, followed by China. And yeah, it did pretty well for us. We recently got Game of the Day as well in US.
Sweet. Yeah. And
Yeah.
Avichal, you guys also?
Yeah, the Switch launch was a success in our eyes and in our publisher's eyes. And because of that, we got, I have to tell you, when the game launched for at least 3 days, the first 2 to 3 days, there was no way to keep up with social media. And when I say that, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, maybe it was manageable, but on Twitter, it became so much that I couldn't just read or check everything. And that is something I'm used to. So I was finding it hard to just catch up with the amount of notifications, and I gave up. I had no option. I went to sleep and I'm like, okay, there's hundreds of notification. I can't do anything. So, because what I was trying to do is also track, there was a lot of positive comments and love. Also, our job is to track down bugs or issues, and edge cases happen when suddenly thousands of people are suddenly playing your gold build, which from your side had no issues. So that's something we learned. But yeah, it was success. Even now, people are writing about Raji, Kotaku, Polygon. These people wrote about Raji, and those are very heartfelt articles. It's
Yeah.
great to see Indians residing in US or Europe and people from Southeast Asia connecting with the game, or people playing the game with their kids, or some animators told me Raji was the first game their parents stood by and saw the entire thing. So those are some things we consider as achievement, like the game was able to do that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. So I was, I've been seeing this a conference that has been going on. And in one of the previous panels, I saw there's a lot of conversation about where India is on the development, and all leaders of the industry talking about, oh, we are 7-8 years out and things like that. But from the conversation with you guys, I feel like as far as the indie game development scene is concerned, we've sort of established ourselves as a unique spot for ourselves as Indian indie developers. So that leads me to my next question. What do you guys consider being, what is an indie developer, and specifically, what does it mean to be an indie Indian indie developer? Zain, if I can start with you.
It's a it's a very wide question, but for me, I can tell you from my personal experience. Like I started in the Indian game industry in 2009 when I was 19, and when I worked for 5 years, right, in the industry, and the only caveat that I felt that was there was that I did not have any freedom to unleash my creative thirst that I wanted to put out, right? Like I'm an artist, so I'm very much pro, art and pro personal opinion and pro adding those influences in games. and games. That's what I felt like. So that's why I started Overhead Studio. And for me, being an indie game developer is that no one is going to tell me what I should develop. No one is going to tell me that I have to release the game in this day. I'm going to do that, or my team is going to select that date and everything. And that's what we have tried to successfully, establish over here at least. Getting talented people in under one house and do many different stuff. Even though Asura was the only game that has been released, we have done a lot of things on the side. We have worked with big companies as well, Blizzard and all the other companies as well, doing consultants. So the idea is that just have fun and do whatever. Essentially, I'm the founder, so kind of like I have a certain vision and certain things that I want to establish. And if I have people who are in line with that vision, then bring them all together and get something out there. That was the core ideas. For me, being indie is no one telling us or my team that anything else is important than the creative vision that we have for the project. And we have kind of established that with the kind of work that we're doing at the moment.
Interesting. Yeah. Debasya, I want to shift this question to you because you guys have said that you're not developing games, but you're going to be working with indies. But as someone who's going to be putting money in and publishing people's indie developers games, is there what is your view on what you consider as an indie developer, and would you be then telling the developers what to do, as opposed to what Zain is talking about, giving them the freedom to do whatever they want to do?
Yes, correct. So beginning with the indie thing, I like to add few points on your previous question, the pandemic thing. So the Cape Titan happens during this pandemic thing. Frankly speaking, everything positive happened for during the pandemic time for gaming community. Many companies formed. We came up with new ideas. We got extra time to think on creative aspect. Also, we got the opportunity to work with the people who are still associated with companies, but they want to work as an indie for some good game. So, for example, if a creative artist is working on UI in a company, I'm not saying it's wrong, but actually his passion is creating art for animations or visual effects, maybe, right? So in this pandemic situation, we got opportunity to explore our creativity in different fields, right? So many of the students who got time, one of the case study we means positive thing happened with us. One of our student actually developed a game during the lockdown period, and it's released in our brand. Unfortunately, he got positive for COVID last week, but he's recovering fast. Many industry professionals working with us as an indie on their own pace without any pressure. They manage their time, like they told us in next 3 months we can come out with a concept. So we don't put any pressure on indie developers so that they can create freely without hierarchy. Like last day, I guess we are discussing about the same thing. Indie means no hierarchy. You are the owner of your own product. Right. Yes, there is some responsibility to bring good product for the market, right? As a publisher, we spend money on not only on your product, on you. So we from Cape Titans or maybe many other publishers see this thing this way. This is not an invest over the product. This is an investment over the team and the person associated with the product. So we should not pressurize them to create what we want. Rather, let them the freedom to make whatever they want as a gamer, as a creator, as a producer. So I guess if we stick with this philosophy of letting indie developers work their own, come up with a good product, maintaining a proper timeline, we can grow this community of indie development.
Right. But does content play a role in defining what you what you would call an indie developer? Like, for instance, if a company came up to you guys and said that, oh, we have another idea for a Ludo game or another idea for a Teen Patti game, or we want to do, a real money gaming platform, would you guys consider that as an opportunity as well, or is the content does the content have to be completely unique or different for you guys to consider that as being an indie developer?
Yes, content is key. We don't want another Ludo cooking game, gambling game, or cricket game anymore from an indie developer, because there are 30, 50 similar games are there in the market. We are not going to add anything new to the community. What an indie developer means or indie designer means, they can create something unique of their own. We need to support them. Of course, developer publishers has this thing to go for the easy one. Like, okay, let's make a cricket game in IPL season, or let's make a fantasy cricket game or Ludo game that can have some standard earnings, or we can compensate the developer. But that is not the criteria we are looking for from our perspective. We want to bring the next Raji. We want to bring the next Yodha or Asura from indie developers. Why we should just talk about a Vichal or Zen? Why not 10 more people, right? So we should have that platform where more Zen and more Avichal can come. We need to support them, right? So of course, Avichal, Himanshu, but Zen, they have did a great thing for last 5-6 years. They have done, they struggled hard. They are now being the role model of indie developers, but we want more to compete with the world, compete with China, US, and Japanese invaders with their huge set of games. We need more Zen, Avichal, and Himanshu.
Right, cool. Yeah, interesting perspective. Let's move on to the next question. We're already running a little late. So this one I want to pass on to Vaibhav. Vaibhav, one of the things that developers, essentially indie developers, want to struggle with is kind of getting the idea right? So how do you guys decide, what do you want to build? I know that a lot of games that you guys have built have been from a various amount of various types of genres and types of games. So how do you take that decision on, we're going to build this kind of game and that kind of game?
I think it's everything is artistic. Like just coming back to the previous question as well, right? Being an indie is like being artistic. Back in 2005, when there were Symbian phones, then there were good camera quality phone. People just picked up those phones and started creating videos, right? They were the filmmakers. They started experimenting with what they wanted to express with those videos. Same thing happened with the gaming community as well. When we started getting used to things like Unity, it was a boon to us. We experimented with a lot of engines before that. There was Unreal, Talk 3D. We were sitting in some IT company and exploring those engines at that time. But when Unity came, all of a sudden, it just came in like, okay, I had plenty of ideas. Now I should just go and start doing this. I still remember when we were playing Need for Speed back in 2009 and 10, and suddenly we discovered Unreal Engine, that we can just do something like that, right? So while we were just traveling to office from one place to another, we just thought of why don't we just make a game wherein we have the same kind of map and we just make a game on that. So this is like everything which we were going through. I think most of the ideas which are there in the market, like people who have already created good kind of stuff, the independent developers, I feel it comes from influence, a lot of influence that they have been through, a lot of love that they have for the concepts or the themes that they have. Like even if you consider Zen, right, he's created Asura or Yoda. It reflects the mythological aspect of the love that he has for that kind of thing. I'm not saying that he's going to make same kind of games, but the first thing that comes to mind is this is what I love, and I'll jump into this very firstly. Similar with these Raji guys, right? They have that experience of traveling through Rajasthan, and I read some articles on those things. Even with me, I had some ideas on theater, so I used to do theater, so I had ideas on theater. My first attempt was to go and jump into this, considering Himanshu, he had that love of playing strategy games. So I think the very first attempt that everybody did was something that they were really influenced with, something that they really loved. But at the same time, we were very, like, I think people were very smart enough to consider two main factors. One is the trend, and the second one is the marketability of it. Because you just can't, go and make anything out there without thinking about the commercial aspect of it. So I think anybody and everybody who wants to try that stuff, think of something that you really love, you're influenced with, but also consider the trend and the marketability of it. Is there enough audience who can play it? Is there enough audience who can buy the game and you can make some money out of it? After all these things, just one thing is to consider is the scope. Make sure that think of something that you can finish it really well. So I think that is how you can go ahead with it.
I'll get back to you on the scope questions, because along with the different types of games, you also have a lot of unfinished games, and I'm sure all of us have. I know I have. So we'll get to the scope question if you have enough time. But very valid point. I think your personal experiences and a variety of personal experiences make a big difference, and seeing what the market is also looking like also makes a big difference. Chirag, I want to move this question to you. Do you have anything to add to that?
So, I mean,
how do you decide?
Yeah. So, I mean, I come from a game design background. So my ideas, like, I've always felt that ideas are dime a dozen. Like, even if you go on a street right now, ask a rickshawala to give you a game idea, chances are that he'll give you a game idea that, hey, bhaiya, why don't you make a game on that, right? So in my perspective, ideas are like dime a dozen. Ideas are like worth beep. So for me, someone like me, I am sort of a person who likes to think of a lot of ideas which are relevant to mechanics. So a lot of mechanical stuff, how people actually would interact with the game. So I'm a person who thinks about the interaction side of things. And when I think I have an idea worth pursuing, the first thing that we do or I do is to create a prototype and then actually see if it actually makes sense and if the interaction is fun to play. If it is, then we pursue it into creating a better version of the prototype and actually creating a game out of it. If not, then we move on to the next idea. So for us, an idea is cool to have. It's obviously good to have in a team, in a small team, and an indie team. But for me personally, if it's not fun in a prototype stage, in a very early stage where the basic mechanic is working and you cannot get the fun out of it, then it's just like any other idea. So idea and then prototype and then get feedback from a few close friends. If it makes sense, pursue it. If not, then move on to the next one. Did I just freeze you with my answer?
Lost again.
Looks like it.
Wow.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay. I'm back. Sorry. Okay. So just picking up from there, Chirag, of course, another the important point that you mentioned was prototyping. Of course, it's very, very important to do those prototypes to decide whether it's fun. A lot of problems that I find personally, and I don't know whether other indie developers would also be probably going through this, is how do you know what is fun, right? Like you might find it fun, but is it fun for everyone? Is it universally fun? So how do you go about getting feedback on those prototypes? So once you've built that prototype, how do you go about getting feedback on that prototype, and how do you then handle negative feedback? So I want to move this question to Zen, because I know on Asura he went through and got a lot of feedback from a lot of different places. So Zen, if you could pick this up from here. And I also want to just also ask, when did you start getting your feedback? Like, was it very early, or was it like when you had already reached a particular stage?
Yeah, so for Asura, basically how I build games is I'm more of a game design guy rather than an aesthetic or narrative guy. So I know that my strong point is game design rather than narrative. So I always have these design goals that I want to meet, and the aesthetic and everything is aligned to those design goals that we have. So for Asura, what we did was we built a vertical slice or prototype as soon as possible. And I think in 4 months or something, we started showcasing the game at various events. One of the events was NASCOM Game Developer Conference. And that's where we got feedback. And then we started showcasing the game in every iterative build. And that's how I collected it. But again, the idea is that to at least follow a certain design philosophy. So for Asura, the idea was to make an RPG with procedurally generated skill tree, which was never done before, and then use the aesthetics that I love, which is the Indian mythological. I don't literally take Indian mythology and put it over there. I think that's boring. What we do is kind of get inspired, make our own fantasy out of it, and then put it inside. That's how I like it, anyways. Like how Warcraft does or Starcraft does, which is the kind of games that I play. So with regards to design, that's what we did. So it was a randomly generated skill tree, and then actually the first iteration of it was a card game. It was basically taking a random skill cards and then placing it on the game itself, and we kind of went from there. And for Yota, again, the game that we are making, it's a turn-based game, and the idea is that how we can make something unique out of a turn-based game. So kind of what we are going for is perfect information. What would happen if you have complete information about the turn-based? So if you've played XCOM or any other games like that, you would always notice that it's actually hidden behind an RNG system. So if you play even Dungeons and Dragons, what happens is that you have to roll a dice, and the outcome of the dice is what determines how your turn is resolved. Whereas what we are trying to do is what happens if there is no RNG in a turn-based game, right? And what happens now if it's a deck building game? So we're kind of that's how I go about doing it, and it's an evolutionary process, and that's why I'm indie, because I cannot be like, okay, I'm going to release the game in 6 months or 1 year. So I think I've been prototyping this game for like 2 years now. I mean, yes, obviously there's been a lot of art that has been building behind, but that's just how I like to build games, which is like explore. It's like a big gold mine, let's say, and then you're digging the gold and finding that diamond out of the mine itself. So that's what we are trying to do, chipping out the rough edges and doing it. But the pandemic has been very different. Like we were planning to go to GDC. We were invited to different shows, and due to the pandemic, it all got what do you call it? The whole thing got disrupted. So we were like, okay, we'll take another year. We'll polish it a bit more. We'll explore more of the design. But there is no hard and fast rule. How I do it is basically have certain design goals and meet that, and hopefully people have fun with that, and then showcase as much as possible. We have a small Discord community where we share the game and people play and give the feedback to me and things like that. But I make sure that the person who gives feedback to me is not someone I know of, like it's a stranger. And I would love to, more than him giving me feedback, I would love to see him play the game. That's the feedback that I want. I don't want to hear your feedback first. Yes, eventually you will share your biased feedback to me. But the most important thing is his expression and his reaction to the gameplay and the UI, UX and things like that. So that's just how we go about doing it. It's a very iterative process. It's not solid, and it's completely based on game design rather than anything else. Like the philosophy is gameplay trumps everything else. Everything is for game design. So yeah, that's how.
Interesting. So you're saying that is very, it's very specific to the way you guys do it. Does anyone have any method that they go about getting feedback, which is different from this? Avichal, you want to chime in on this?
Yeah, so through Raji, what we've learned is, I was just adding it up in my head. There's 4 different types of feedbacks that we have experienced. The first one is we call someone to a studio. Usually this is a person we know, someone, maybe one of our friends, and they give you feedback. This feedback is different. Second is, of course, going to NASCOM or any of the events, PAX or whatever. That feedback is different. Third is strangers online. When they play your demo, we have a demo form. It's full, amazing feedback. That feedback is different. And the fourth one, which I found is important to a game like us, is focus test. When someone who has actually been through, like various games, like different kind of genres, different kind of games, you send them your game, they charge you a fee, they will assign 20 people to play your game, and they will manage data. They will come up with data with frustration points, number of deaths, what do users think, where did they want to quit the game, what did they want to say, what are the places they love the most. Now, throughout Rajiv, we started with the point 1, asking our close ones to play. people who were already in Pune, and we very soon we realized the feedback we get in some place like NASCOM or PAX is very different because people are more comfortable there. We have called a few people we didn't know from before to a studio. They play the game, but it's like kind of a human psychology. They are at our studio, surrounded by our people, so they won't be totally honest or open about it. Whereas in NASCOM, I was literally spying some people from a little distance. That what are they actually trying to do in the game? And that did help. It does help sometime to understand what are they thinking. Are they lost in the UI? Are they lost in the menus? Why do they want to explore this corner and not go on the path that we created for them? And the third is stranger feedback from internet. It can be brutal. It can be. They can tell you to delete your game sometimes. So that is also feasible. And the fourth one I said is the very most important. So we got a lot of feedback, but I think one of the most important things also in game development is to know when to stop taking feedback or to know the correct type of feedback you need. Because if someone's telling me at this stage to add a third person and a first person camera, which people still comment, of course that's not possible, and I don't consider that as feedback. But if someone's people gave us feedback about hits, when Raji hits through a Trishul, there was feedback that they feel floaty. And in 2017, we amped up the values of Gaussian blur and time stop when the weapon hits the characters. And people still said that but the number of people who said that went very low. And now we figured if we just increase the values by like 20-25%, this problem will be resolved. And that's what happened. No more complaints about that. So this came through different sets of feedbacks. So that's all, I guess. We as game developers, I think we have to choose which feedback affects the game, because feedback is literally something which is a force from outside shaping your product. And you have to keep your eyes and ears open to all of it and pick what works best for you.
This is very interesting because on one hand we're talking about indie developers being all about control, being about creative freedom, but at the same time we're also talking about how do we also listen to what our players actually want, and then and also filter out what is important and what is superfluous. Right. So I think this is really good input, and especially the point on different types of feedback. That's a very interesting point as well. Okay, moving on. Building these passion projects for a lot of you guys, of course, can't be easy, especially if you're trying to fund it yourself. So there's a couple of questions on on financing and success that I want to ask you guys, because I'm sure a lot of developers who are watching are interested to know that, okay, what is the possibility when I develop, like when I make a game and put it out there, am I going to get 100 million downloads the first month itself? Exaggerated, but so my question is, what do you guys consider as success? I mean, is it just if you've managed to break even and just make enough, is even if you so let me put it very on hard facts as well. If for some of you, if you hit, let's say on the iOS or the Android stores, if you hit the top 500 globally, is that enough for, let's say, a month? Is that enough to sustain the studio for a few more months? Or do you have to get that feature positioning? Do you have to get the top 100? Do you have to get the top 50 positioning to essentially consider yourself success? Or is it not even financial? And if it's not financial, then how do you handle your finances? A little open-ended question. Chirag, can I start with you?
Yeah, I mean, so for us, it's just always been the two types of metrics, if you may call it. Obviously, you need some kind of financial success to keep making games and to keep doing what you are doing, right? I mean, it's not just the one game that you want to make. You want to keep building more games after this game, right? So financial success is always something that we have to look for the commercial aspect. But for me personally, there's also a thing called emotional validation that you get from. I mean, that's the reason I got into making games, is because when someone interacts and plays your game, and the reaction, the expression, the joy that you see on their face, if it's live or if it's via the feedback, that kind of validation and that kind of feedback is also that helps us evaluate the success criteria for the game. Because we feel that, I mean, we obviously care about the money because we need food to eat and we need shelter to survive, right? But apart from that, one of the reasons everyone in the team is aligned on is that emotional validation. We want to make people have fun playing our game. We want to make people see happy faces when they interact with our game, when they learn about the story we are trying to tell. So that kind of emotional validation and success is very important to us, uh, for us as well, apart from the commercial side of it. Yes.
Right. But asking specifically on the commercial, and this is for any of you guys who've published on the app stores, would top 500 globally be good enough to sustain you guys, or just so that people can get an understanding of what they should expect?
So on app stores, the main thing is to get featured. If you don't have the user acquisition money, there you need some way to get on the front of the app store and the front page, because that is very important. Because if people are not looking at your game, there won't be any conversions, and people won't be downloading your game just by searching the name of it. Like hardly 2 to 3% will go and actually search for your game and actually download, even after you do. Even after you invest a lot in marketing through social media and forums, Reddit, even if you do all that, it's just 2 to 3%. Rest all depends on what comes on the front page, because that is where the most of the audience is. That is where everyone is looking at. So the featuring is one of the most important thing for a premium game, because indie studios doesn't have money to spend much on the user acquisition and other stuff. So getting a feature in itself can be a huge boost for indie studios. Now you can approach this in a different ways. Like you can contact the app store managers, and like you can have connections with Apple or Google Play stores, and then you can just your game. So yeah, instead of thinking of like how you are selling the game to the market, instead you think how you are selling the game to these app store managers. And you plan and you plan the marketing and everything around that thing. So all this is very important to keep the marketability as aspect as well of the game. Now getting on the top front page, now the Indian feature won't do you any good. You have to get a global feature with a banner feature and other features and multiple features to get in the top 10 charts and top 20 charts. But yes, that is significant enough for you, for a small indie studio of 5-6 people, to survive for 2-3 years.
Okay, that's good to know. So I'm getting a ping to start wrapping up now. But just before I wrap up, I want to again get a sense from all of you guys for the different platforms that indie games are published on, like what types of revenue. And of course, everyone, whoever can answer, and whoever have ideas don't have to, but at least let us know if it is worth it. So what types of revenue is a successful game on the iOS store would for an indie game, like let's say for a premium indie game, Himanshu or Chirag?
So for premium indie games, if your game gets featured a global feature with a very good spot in the front positions, you can expect anywhere between 10,000 to 40,000 copies sold in the first week, considering like if you have a very, very good feature. But that is where the current numbers are, and that will still remain for like considerable amount of time.
And is this for premium games?
Yeah, that is strictly for premium games. Okay. Considering all the good with all the good features and every stuff, so you can expect about 10,000 to 40,000 copies.
So 10,000 to 40,000 copies sold at what price point? Like $4, $5?
So it also depends on the genres. Like there are other factors as well that comes in the middle. If you are targeting a puzzle games which are little down at the moment, so you won't get 10,000 or 20,000 downloads. You will be on the lower end. But if you have a genre which is currently in the trend, you will have on the higher side, let's say 30,000, 40,000. So it depends on the genre and the price point as well. If you have a $2 game, it's difficult to sell. If you have a high good quality game that you're putting it out there, and you're like, if it's a quality game, then you will definitely get good downloads.
Okay. And can anyone give input on Steam? Zen, maybe you can chime in on this.
I think Steam also, it's for us, it was like somewhere around 50,000 copies for first 10 days, I guess. That's somewhere where we are. And with China and everything, there's a lot of different business aspects related to this. So China, you can, they have a completely different concept of getting games out to the consumer. So what they do is they literally buy out the CD keys itself in the front, and they are ready to pay advance and things like that. So it's a very different, business with regards to how each region works as well. And luckily for us, we had a publisher when it came to China, and we had a regional publisher when it came to Japan. They were just regional publishers who would help us with the translation and everything. So that's something that you can expect. But again, it's a lot of things that go and meet that avenue. Like you have to make sure that your marketing is there, your game is good. There's a lot of different things. But that's something. But I had friends who have had 250 games sold in the first day. Then there are like 1 million sold in the first day, and also 50 also very different variable. And like how Himanshu said, depending on the trend as well, you never expect what can happen with the game. But the most important thing is that whatever your audience is, like you're making a roguelike game or you're making a casual game, I don't know, whatever the thing is, it's hitting those points that they expect and more than that, and you have something unique. That's the most important aspect. If you nail that and then your marketing is good, then you can expect wonders to happen. But without that, nothing.
Great. Okay.
Yeah. Also, the wish list is also one of the very important part of this team, and that gives you a certain idea that how your game is gonna sell. So the global average for wish list is about 10%. So consider if you have 20,000 wish list, you are gonna sell 2,000 copies on your first day. So wish lists are your major part where you can determine what your game, if it's gonna be successful or not.
Yep.
Okay. There's a whole bunch of questions that I want to continue asking you guys. There's a lot of stuff that we haven't covered, but I think we need to wrap up now. So I'm just going to quickly have one closing round of points. If everyone can just give your view of where the indie scene is in India today, as far as development is concerned, and where do you guys see it going? And we can just wrap up with that. Just closing thoughts. Vaibhav, I want to start with you, and this will go through everyone.
Yeah, I think it's growing. We are still at a very nascent stage, but still the kind of games that we are seeing are pretty amazing. I think in the next 2-3 years there will be a lot of PC console titles coming in. Along with that, I think because of the introduction of this hyper casual market also, I think there are a lot of 1, 2, 3 people studios who will be, who still are making a lot of money. By the way, they are just not in the picture. They are making hyper casual games with international publishers and making enough money, but they're just not in the picture right now. But I think that these two categories will definitely be huge in the coming couple of years.
PC console and hyper casual. Cool.
Yeah.
Himanshu?
Yeah, so the quality of games have definitely improved a lot. We have been seeing a lot of good quality games coming out of India, especially Raji and Yodha. I've been looking forward to both of them for quite a while now. So yeah, the quality has been increasing year by year, and I look forward like what else is in the bag, and I look forward what all the new generation will come up with.
Who will be already calling the next group of people the new generation.
Yeah.
I'm the grandfather generation there. Chirag? Mute.
Yeah, to echo what everyone said, I mean, thanks to people like Avichal and Zen, actually releasing games on not just PC, but on consoles as well. So I think that will inspire a lot more people to actually scope big and think big and go beyond just being a mobile game developer, and use examples like these games to actually, go big and start thinking about, hey, people in India can also make console games, and not just talking about being on a platform, but also games in a very broad genres like, action RPGs, JRPGs, and so on. So I'm very excited to see what this all leads to, and all thanks to these young fine gentlemen Avichal and Zen making these cool games on and making us mobile developers look so small. But yes, it's good for everyone.
When you're getting featured by Apple Arcade, I don't think you look small at all. Avichal, you wanna give your 2 bits?
Yeah, I mean, I thank you guys for the comments, and I agree with you. Games, what Chirag has made, and the idea of having a small team in India and being able to make games that get either featured or are on Apple Arcade or get selected in, Nintendo's event of the year, or have already proven themselves like Asura or Bonfire, which is like he said the critically acclaimed IP of the studio. So these examples are set, and now it's going to be interesting what other people. There's a lot of game developers coming up, aspiring game developers. I see a lot of the YouTube communities coming up. I just hope people don't fall into what I call a trap of open world RPG. Everyone wants to make one, but no one knows how to. So I see a lot of people trying to go full AAA from the start. So those are traps. So I hope developers don't fall into those.
Okay. Debashish, your final thoughts?
Yes, so the indie development market is growing. It's still in early phase. No market is small. It's a console, PC, or mobile. Mobile holds 45% of revenue share in $182 billion industry. So yes, you can make games. This community needs to grow, needs to work hand with means we need to collaborate to compete. That's the motion we need to start from now. Like if we want to make good game, we need to collaborate like whoever already got some success in international market, or who are the aspiring thing, or the investor need to trust the indie developer, or publisher need to focus on how to make good games. So this is the time we need to collaborate with each other, not looking into our own game or one tiny platform or industry. To make it happen in bigger sense, India is full of talent. Like I interact with hundreds of students every day, on everyday basis. Since the starting of our journey with Cape Titans, I got around 10 to 12 demo games, playable video, all these things. But we need to make time. We need to arrange time to nourish them. We cannot ignore like, okay, it's a crappy game. Even it's crappy, but it has some potential to grow. So initiative like James and other things can make good impact on Indian community along with YouTubers, influencers. Everyone need to work together, not alone. I cannot make a great game alone. Even an indie developer can make a game in 1 year, but he needs a support system, right?
Great.
So
Cool. And sorry, Zen, you want to give your final thoughts?
Nothing. Like when we started like 5 years ago, or when I started 5 years ago, the idea was just to make games that I love to play. That was the idea, because I was not given that opportunity, and that's the only reason why I started Overhead Studio. And this thing that like we being the inspiration, or that was not the idea, or that was not the case. My only message would be that if you're being an indie developer, you should reflect on yourself and be passionate about what you want to make and make that. It can be anything, and that's what I guess every single member that's sitting over here has done. Himanshu has done his stuff, and he has done incredibly well. Chirag has done like splendidly on his kind of. Avichal is doing his thing, but I see a lot of narratives. Like my message was that I make games inspired by Indian mythology and culture. It's not like this nationalistic stand that India is greater or anything like that. It's just that I love that mythology, and I just want to share that as a story and as a thing, and that's what we do. But that does not mean that every single person, in order to be successful, has to do that, because I've seen this narrative, and I hope that's not the message I'm giving out. But stay true to yourself. No matter what the platform is, कोई platform कोई mobile में बना रहा है, कोई PC में बना रहा है, आप VR के लिए बना रहे हैं, it does not matter. What matters is that you are happy developing what you're making and having fun making it. It will be a success or failure, no one knows, but hope you have fun. That's the best joy that you can get as a game developer. Yeah.
Great. So thank you all. I think with this group of indie developers, I think our future looks really good. We always need the arts to be there supporting commercial successes as well. And I think you guys have shown that we are definitely there in the scene, and we're just going to get better. So thank you all for being here on the panel, and over to you guys.
Thanks, Rishi. Rishi, this is Anil Vanwari here.
Hi, Anil. Hi.
Hi. Thank you. I think you moderated that session brilliantly well, and you brought out the best nuances of indie game development that we have to bear in mind, and the panelists also shared very, very clearly. Avichal, I like your long hair. Thank you for being there. Mine's growing long. Haven't had the time to visit the barber at all. It's probably when I'm next meet you, it'll be as long as yours. But thank you for being there, and thank you for making this a huge success. You all guys are going to be driving the agenda going forward. Let's have one of you create a global game. If you can have Angry Birds coming out of a small country, can't we have something which comes out from here? More power to you guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Well, Priyanka, it's over to you. You tell me what I have to do. Thanks.
Okay, so that was quite an interesting session.
Yeah, sorry.
And we thank you all for the wonderful discussion, the exchange that we had. And this brings us to the end of GEMS 2020. Once again, I would like to thank our partners for their support. The event is co-powered by Tata Communications, associate partner Cape Titans Games, support partner Loco, a Pocket Aces Products. On behalf of animationexpress.com and indiantelevision.com group, I would like to thank all the speakers and viewers for taking the time out and joining us today. We hope you had a fruitful time. If you have missed any of our sessions, you can log on to indiantelevision.com or animation.com to catch all of it.
Animationexpress.com, Priyanka, and our Facebook pages, which is ITV News with a Z, ITV News on Facebook and Animation Express on Facebook, as well as our channels. You can watch everything. And, I'd like to thank the team of Animation Express and IndianTelevision.com. There's a whole bunch of them, there's Krishanu, there's Neha, there's Priyanka, there's Sana, there's Vishal, there's Shromitro, there's, I may forget some names and then they get pissed off at me and they say, you didn't thank us. But a big thank you to everyone. Priyanka herself, she woke up every morning, put on her makeup, dressed up to be a part of this, but actually I'm in my shirt and in my shorts. So you took a lot of efforts. And barefoot. That's how I do this. Sorry?
Thank
Everyone's
you
in shorts, are they?
Fun.
Rishi, are you in shorts or are you in trousers? Rishi?
Oh no, I'm definitely in shorts. I'm always in shorts.
Oh, fantastic. That's what I think next year we'll mandate it when we do it in the real world, that anybody who comes to this, whether it's a CEO or whether it's a developer, they come in shorts and t-shirts. Is that a given, Himanshu? And
absolutely.
All? So we've got to encourage that culture. Thank you all of you. Sorry? You were saying something, Rishi?
I think in the gaming industry, it is definitely a given.
Fantastic. So I tried to encourage it on day one, but I wore a suit this morning with a jacket with my shorts. So we look a little more polished, which I don't think I can really succeed much at. So am I interrupting your conversation? Your closing? Am I, Priyanka?
No, I just want to say that before we leave, that please follow indiantelevision.com, animationexpress.com, because we have a lot of exciting and industry-driven virtual engagements coming up in the coming months.
So what are Twitter handles? What is our Twitter handle? ITV News? Animation Express?
Yes, indiantelevision.com on Facebook, ITV News on Twitter, ITV News on LinkedIn. So you can find us on animationexpress.com also.
And please share the videos, share everything that we put up so that we spread the message of the gaming ecosystem. Like the session that you just did, Rishi and company, please share it on your own Facebook pages so we propagate it further. Thank you, everyone. And let's look forward to making the gaming and esports ecosystem even more successful. Thanks. And until we meet, maybe earlier, maybe we'll have a smaller version in the next 4 months, who knows? A smaller version rather than the 2-day version in the coming 4 months as we progress. All the best to all of us. Thank you again. Thank you, Priyanka. Thank you, everyone.
Thank